Chapter 301. Even though Maidol was very tired, Ning Shu took Maidol to the audition regardless of the weather. Ning Shu ignored Maidol's tired face and accepted the role for Maidol. Maidol discussed with Ning Shu, "Sister Chen, can you give me a minor role? I'm very tired. I'm tired of playing such minor roles." Ning Shu said indifferently, "I know you're tired, but what I want to say is that you can't even play such a simple minor role. Even if there's an important role for you, do you think you can do it?" Maidol bit her lip. "I can." Her confidence had been worn down by these strange roles. Maidol's nose twitched. She felt like she couldn't see the future. Wearing a dirty minor role, she felt like she would be tortured until she went crazy. Ning Shu smiled indifferently. "Maidol, it's not that I don't want to give you a good role. It's true that I can't get any good roles. You don't have any works. Although you're tired now, you can always learn something. You're too impetuous now. Calm down." Maidol was annoyed. Hearing her manager use such words to brush her off every time, Maidol's heart became even more irritable. Maidol was so angry that she wanted to cry. She wanted to leave. What future did she have with such a manager? Ning Shu took Maidol to beg the director to give her a role. When the director saw Maidol, he directly said that there were no more minor roles. Ning Shu clearly saw the stage supervisor and assistant director looking for minor roles, but he told them that he didn't want them. He obviously didn't want Maidol. Maidol had been in this kind of place for a while. She immediately understood what the other party meant. Her face turned green with anger. She didn't want to play such a role, but in the end, the other party actually rejected her. Maidol was embarrassed and angry at this moment. Ning Shu took Maidol to a few sets, but they didn't want her. A director directly said, "This girl is not good at acting. She's just a minor role, but she has to NG so many times. Everyone is in a bad mood. Many actors don't like her." Ning Shu was speechless. The future movie queen was actually said to be not good at acting. Was Maidol really not good at acting, or was the movie queen award fake? Or maybe Mojave used his strong ability to turn Maidol into a movie queen. Who knows? In any case, did not even have the chance to play a minor role. Previously, Mai had despised minor roles, but now, she did not even have the chance to play one. Maidol was probably on the blacklist of these directors. Ning Shu had no choice but to take Maidol back. As soon as they got into the car, Maidol cried so hard that she couldn't breathe. Her face was pale with anger. Ning Shu felt that Maidol was too fragile. If she encountered such a situation, she definitely wouldn't cry. Instead, she would shamelessly ask the director for a role. But Ning Shu wouldn't give up his face to ask for a role for Maidol. She didn't like such a role. Even if she begged Maidol, she wouldn't cherish it and would despise it. Ning Shu looked at Maidol and cried. Maidol cried out all the grievances she had suffered recently. Her eyelids were swollen. Finally, she stopped crying. She turned to look at Ning Shu. A pair of fish eyes stared at Ning Shu. Ning Shu was speechless. "Sister Chen, I want to take the role of that servant girl," Maidol said firmly to Ning Shu. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "Are you sure? That role isn't easy to play." She was going to be taken off her pants and spanked. It seemed that the noble Maidol had been forced to lose her principles. Now that she wanted to take the role, there were many seductive men in this movie. In the end, she was beaten to death. It was an annoying role. For the first time on the screen, she had to take on some positive roles. Otherwise, the role would be fixed and she would give people the impression that she was a bad woman. "Do you really want to take this role?" "I don't want you to take this role," Ning Shu persuaded Maidol. But now, Maidol's mind was filled with the director's disdain. The recent disappointment made Maidol want to prove that she could do it. Moreover, there were many opportunities to appear in this role. Maidol wanted to take this role. She had never thought that acting would be so complicated. She just wanted to act in peace and quiet. Ning Shu said calmly, "Are you sure you want to take this role?" "Yes, I must prove to them that I can act." My duo furrowed her brows tightly. Although her words were impassioned, her expression was filled with uncertainty. Being rejected by so many directors was a devastating blow to Maydol's confidence. Maydol, who was determined to be a movie queen, was now beaten to such a state. Ning Shu unscrewed a bottle of mineral water for Maydol and handed it to her. She looked tired, lost, helpless, defeated, and unwilling. Maydol with Mojave and Maydol without Mojave were completely different. Without Mojave, Maydol couldn't move an inch and couldn't maintain the purity and beauty she had when she first entered the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry was a big dye vat. Everyone in it would be dyed black. Maydol was lucky to meet Mojave. Mojave gave Maydol a strong protection. While others were struggling bitterly and even resorting to crooked means in order to climb up, my duo stood at the top of the pyramid and leaned on her sugar daddy. She looked down at these people who did not respect themselves and sold their dignity and desires for a role. She despised these people. Ning Shu laughed in his heart and called the director. The director asked Maydol to audition. This role was very difficult and required a lot of acting skills, but the director agreed when he saw the pure Maydol. The unexpected success made Ning Shu feel a little strange. When Maydol heard that she passed the audition, she was very happy. Her gloominess was swept away and she was bright and beautiful. Ning Shu just smiled faintly and didn't say anything. Then, he stayed by Maydol's side and took care of her every day. Even when she was filming at night, Ning Shu was always there. Ning Shu received the title of a good manager. Ning Shu could only say that they thought too much. Even if she wanted to target someone, she wouldn't be so blatant. If the original owner came back and found out that she had been fired, she would collapse. What was the point of counterattacking? He had to be on the right side of things. He could not allow my to attack him. She and Maydol would fall out sooner or later. Now Ning Shu felt that Maydol was full of resentment towards him. If Maydol rose up, she would definitely kick him out. Ning Shu now understood the director's intention. Maydol had a pure face, but the role was a slut who shamelessly seduced men. It was a huge contrast. Imagine a pure face seducing men. This role was even more explosive. Chapter 302. My duo began to act. She was in her best condition, but her performance was still very stiff. She usually had to take several takes before she could pass. Ning Shu saw that the director was holding his breath. The actors who acted with Maydol did not like Maydol, and they said very unpleasant things in private. Almost everyone despised Maydol's acting. Maydol always complained to Ning Shu tearfully after hearing this. Maydol thought that she would be in a good state if she did not play a small role and acted more, but now everyone was blaming her for slowing down the process. Everyone in the crew looked at her strangely, which made my duo very uncomfortable. What made my duo even more frustrated was that the male actor she was acting with was always trying to take advantage of her. Sometimes, he would even touch her chest with his elbow, and the other party would pretend to be very serious. Maydol wanted to cry, but she did not know what to say. The actors always had physical contact with her, and one of their hands was always touching her body. Especially during filming, she had to try her best to not make mistakes, and she also had to endure the men taking advantage of her. Maydol could not stand it anymore, so she told Ning Shu. Ning Shu comforted her. Bear with it. The actor who acted with you is a senior. Bear with it. But he is so terrible to me. Maydol stared at Ning Shu with her eyes wide open. He is so disgusting and dirty. Then you go and expose him. You are still filming. What good will it do you to fall out with him? I said that this industry is so cruel. Without success and recognition, there is no human rights. You are just an ant. I can guarantee that if you expose him now, you don't have to stay in this crew. Ning Shu said indifferently, calmly and cruelly. He can decide your fate with one word. However, Maydol's heart was in turmoil. She felt terrible. She had pushed her worldview aside and destroyed the worldview that she had established. She had to rebuild her worldview to adapt to the entertainment industry. Maydol was very resistant. Did she really have to go with the flow? She just wanted to act. Why would there be such a thing? The director is calling for you. It's your turn. Ning Shu nudged Maydol, who was in a daze with a pale face. Maydol was in a trance, but she was not in a good state. After many takes, the director was so angry that he took off his hat and threw it on the ground. He pointed at Maydol's nose and scolded, "What the hell is wrong with you? I asked you to play a person, not a wooden figure. You are supposed to seduce people. Can't you be more charming?" "I'm sorry, it's my fault." "I'm sorry, director." Maydol apologized to the director with a numb expression. "Seriously, I'm not shooting today." The director was very annoyed. He pointed at Maydol and said, "You stay, I'll tell you the script." "Tell her the script." Maydol felt a little strange. She then saw that other people were looking at her meaningfully and ambiguously. Ning Shu walked over and said to the director, "Director, Maydol is not in a good state today. She is not feeling well and her face is very pale." The director looked at Maydol in a trance and waved his hand. "Let's forget about it today. If this drags on, when can we finish shooting?" Maydol's face was getting paler. It was already dark and the night wind was blowing. Maydol felt very cold. She had never felt so cold in her life. She was really tired. Ning Shu brought Maydol back to the small apartment. Along the way, Maydol was in a trance. Her face was pale and she looked quite scary. When she reached the apartment, she fell onto the sofa and hugged the pillow as she cried. She wailed loudly and her heart was torn apart. Although Maydol was crying uncomfortably, Ning Shu's heart was carefree. This was the original owner's mood. Because of Maydol, Chen Shi lost her job and couldn't survive in Jiang City's entertainment industry. She was imprisoned and raped by gangsters. In the end, she was stabbed to death. She didn't even have a grave and was directly buried in a fish's stomach. Perhaps Maydol didn't even know that someone would meet with a disaster because of a few words from her. At that time, she and Mojave were probably living happily. How would she know? Ning Shu sat at the side and supported his chin as he looked at Maydol. Maydol's purity and quickness were being worn away. After meeting Mojave, Maydol could swim freely in the big dye vat. But without Mojave, Maydol was nothing. Ning Shu ruined Maydol and Mojave's first night. Without this entanglement, Maydol and Mojave wouldn't be able to break through. Was tired from crying. She wiped the tears off her face and turned around to see her agent looking at her with a calm and indifferent gaze. A chill ran down Mai's spine. Maydol's heart suddenly had a fear of her agent. She felt that something was wrong, but she couldn't tell what was wrong. Ning Shu said to Maydol, "Don't cry. Look at you crying so many times. You didn't cry so much in the past. Why do you look like you're soaking in bitter water now?" Maydol sobbed twice. Why was her acting path so difficult? Sometimes, Maydol even had the illusion that she shouldn't be like this. But the reality made people collapse. Ning Shu said, "Cheer up and act well in this movie. This is the first movie in your life. Act well." Maydol nodded. Ning Shu asked, "Sister Chen, will you help me? I can only rely on you now." Ning Shu smiled indifferently. "Of course I will help you." Maydol looked at Ning Shu in a daze. It was a gentle smile, but Maydol felt that there was an inexplicable coldness in it. Maydol felt that it was her illusion. Now Maydol found that it was really difficult for her to move forward, so she wanted to curry favor with her agent. It was not until now that Madol realized that her fate was in the hands of her agent. What she would become in the future depended on her agent's mood. After going through so many things, Madol abandoned some of her previous ideas and instinctively made herself do the most beneficial thing for herself. To put it bluntly, Madol was trying to adapt to the entertainment industry and make her life easier. Madol felt pain when the things she encountered in the past conflicted with her own worldview. Now, Madol chose to compromise. Ning Shu nodded. You are an artist under me. I naturally hope that you can have a future. This is also good for me. It is a mutually beneficial thing. Thank you, Sister Chen. Madol reached out and grabbed Ning Shu's arm, shaking it as if she was acting coquettishly. But now, Madol gave Ning Shu the feeling that she was a dog that wanted a bone. She wanted to gain benefits through his actions. He really wanted to let Mojave see what the pure and innocent girl looked like now. She no longer had the so-called persistence. These experiences had worn away her purity. He didn't know if such a Madol could still attract Mojave. The more used to filthy and flashy people were, the more they yearned for purity and light. Coincidentally, Madol was this light. Chapter 303. Ning Shu saw that Madol had the intention to improve herself, so he didn't want to accompany her to the set and let her go by herself. Now that Ning Shu had to follow up on Joey's album, she had wasted a lot of time on Madol. She had to take up roles for Madol all day long. To be honest, it was very tiring to get so many weird roles. These roles were specially chosen by Ning Shu for Madol. In the plot, Madol had Mojave and was given an important role from the beginning. Even if her acting skills were a little shaky, the director's attitude wouldn't be so bad. He let Madol's acting skills slowly improve. The most important thing was that at that time, Madol was confident and pure. But now, Madol had no background and was just a minor character. In the face of such a person, it would be strange if the director was polite. Madol gradually lost her confidence as she denied it again and again. She also became impatient and unbalanced. In addition, Joey, who lived in the same apartment as her, was steadily improving in his career, but she was stuck at the same spot. It was inevitable that she was anxious and eager to succeed. Now that Madol heard that Ning Shu didn't go with her and said that he was going to take care of Joey, Madol felt uncomfortable in her heart. And Madol found that she was really relying on her agent. In the past, it was always her agent who accompanied her when she was filming. If there was any problem, the agent would come out to help. Now, she had to go to the set alone and face the whole crew alone. Madol felt a little guilty. Madol pulled Ning Shu's hand. Ning Shu begged, Sister Chen, can you go with me? I'm a little scared. Ning Shu pushed her hand away and said lightly, I'm not only your agent, but also Joey's agent. Not only do I have to take care of you, but I also have to follow up on Joey's situation. And you've been acting for so long, you should be able to deal with those people. Sister Chen believes in you. Even you can deal with those people by yourself. Madol was really bitter in her heart. She could only go to the set alone. Ning Shu followed up on Joey's album. Obviously, the company saw the value in Joey. Now, they wanted to package Joey and try to make Joey's album sell better. Joey was very happy about Ning Shu's arrival. He smiled at Ning Shu. Ning Shu took the water handed to him. Ning Shu said, Sister Chen, how come you have time to come here? Are you unhappy because Sister Chen has been spending time on Madol? Ning Shu looked at Joey and asked. Joey shook his head and said gratefully, it's all thanks to Sister Chen that I can sing now. I'm very satisfied now. I'm not unhappy. And there are many things I can do by myself. I just want to trouble Sister Chen less. No matter whether Joey was telling the truth or not, it made people feel very comfortable. In terms of social etiquette, Joey was indeed much better than Madol. Madol was the kind of person who felt sorry for the world when she suffered. Ning Shu accompanied Joey until night. When he opened the door, he saw Maydol sitting on the sofa, hugging her legs and crying. What's wrong? Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. The current Maydol was made of water. In the storyline, Maydol was soaking in a honey pot. But now, Maydol was a baby soaking in bitter water. She was crying again. Ning Shu felt that there were some things that did not require tears. To be honest, Ning Shu did not like to cry so easily. What was the use of tears? Ning Shu had experienced several worlds and never shed tears. He did not even pretend to cry to make people feel pity for him. Sometimes, Ning Shu wondered if he was a woman. Perhaps it was the pain of more than 10 years of chemotherapy that made him more resilient. What's wrong? Why are you crying again? Ning Shu asked Maydol. Maydol raised her head from between her knees. She had not removed the makeup on her face. Her tears had washed away her eyeliner, making her eyes dark. There were 2 black ravines on her face. She looked particularly pitiful. Maydol looked panicked and scared. Ning Shu shouted, Sister Chen, I'm scared. I'm really scared. What happened? Ning Shu asked indifferently. He asked Joey to get water for Maydol to wash her face. Maydol hugged her arms. She seemed to be very cold. Even her lips were trembling. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Did something happen to Maydol? Or did it have something to do with the male lead? Can you tell Sister Chen what happened to you? You can't solve anything by crying like this. Ning Shu asked patiently. He did not know why, but when he saw Maydol crying like this, he wanted to beat her up and make her talk. Ning Shu suspected that he also had obsessive-compulsive disorder. Sister Chen, I'm scared. I don't want to go to film anymore. Maydol tightly bit her lips. I don't want to go. Why? Can I know the reason? There must be a reason. You finally made up your mind to play this role. Why don't you play it? Ning Shu asked with concern. Maydol tightly bit her lips. Her face was as pale as paper. There was an indescribable exhaustion and gloominess in her expression. The director wanted to rape me. After Maydol said that, she burst into tears. While crying, she said, the director said he wanted to explain the scene to me. Then he took me to the room and pressed me down on the bed. Ning Shu listened to Maydol's intermittent words and finally understood what was going on. The director wanted to force Maydol into the unspoken rules. Ning Shu was more concerned about the result. He quickly asked, Are you okay? Did he succeed? No, I escaped. Maydol cried and said. When Ning Shu saw my duo, crying like this, she felt her heart itching. Could she stop crying? She felt annoyed just by looking at her. It's good that you're okay. Ning Shu seemed to be relieved. He then asked, the director didn't chase after you? He chased after me, but I bumped into Mojave. I don't know why Mojave helped me solve it, Maydol said. Ning Shu, the male and female leads had already interacted. Sister Chen, I don't think I can act in this movie. The director definitely won't let me act anymore. Also, I feel like vomiting when I see the director now. Maydol cried and said. Maydol cried so hard that it seemed like she had lost her mind. However, in the plot, Maydol and Mojave had a one-night stand. They didn't see Maydol crying like this. The unspoken rules also depended on the partner. Mojave was good at acting and was good-looking. However, the director looked wretched and fat. The director will let you act in this movie. Don't worry. Ning Shu said with certainty. Maydol was stunned. Why? Because the person who helped you is Mojave, the prince of Jiangqing's entertainment circle. One word from him can make a mediocre artist famous, Ning Shu said with a smile. Chapter 304. You just entered the entertainment circle, so you don't know much about Mojave's ability. He is so powerful in the entertainment circle. Last time, you poured juice on him and offended him, so I hurriedly took you to apologize to him. Ning Shu seemed to be telling Maydol about Mojave's strength. Ning Shu said again, fortunately, he didn't offend you at that time. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to survive in the entertainment circle with just one word from Mojave. Maydol was stunned, and there was an indescribable emotion in her astonishment. She asked aloud, is he really so powerful? How can you describe Mo Juefeng as powerful? He's like a dying man. He's the ideal husband for so many women. Ning Shu's expression was a bit exaggerated. Then he looked at Maydol and said, I didn't expect him to speak up for you. Mojave's face appeared in Maydol's mind. Why did she meet this person every time she was in the most embarrassing situation? Noble and proud, handsome and tall, and the power on his body was shining. She didn't know why, but Maydol's heart was beating very fast, and there was an indescribable feeling. Ning Shu looked at Maydol's absent-minded look, as if she was thinking about something. Ning Shu said, it's okay. The director will definitely call you tomorrow and ask you to continue acting. Have a good rest today. Maydol nodded. Her mood was not as broken as before, but Ning Shu felt that there was a strange pink bubble around Maydol's body. Maybe Maydol was attracted to Mojave, but now would Mojave still like her? Mojave liked the pure and beautiful Maydol, who was not contaminated with the filth of the entertainment circle. But now, Mador's entire body was filled with fatigue and impatience to succeed. As Ning Shu expected, the next morning, the director informed Maydol to continue acting. After Maydol received the call, she asked Ning Shu in surprise, Sister Chen, the director really asked me to continue filming. How did you know that? Ning Shu took a sip of the bitter coffee, smacked his lips, and said, he will definitely let you go. Yesterday, Mojave spoke up for you. The director can't guess if you have any relationship with Mojave, so he will still let you act. Besides, there is basically no one who wants to take this role. You have already filmed more than half of the plot, and your role is about to be completed. If you don't go, he will have to find someone else to take over your role. It will be a waste of time and money, so the director will still let you go. Maydol listened to Ning Shu's long speech and said in a daze, Sister Chen, you are really amazing. The amazing one is Mojave. Most of the reason is because of Mojave. In the future, when you meet him, be polite. After all, he helped you. Don't annoy him. This kind of person who thinks he is the best doesn't like to be offended. Ning Shu instructed Maydol. Maydol's eyes flickered and nodded. Then, she said to Ning Shu, Sister Chen, can you accompany me this time? After what happened last night, I am scared. Ning Shu nodded, I will go with you this time. Don't be afraid, the director won't dare to do anything to you. Ning Shu drove Maydol to the set. Before, Maydol was quite afraid of the director. Moreover, she was very embarrassed and disgusted. After all, such a thing happened last night. But now, the director's attitude towards her was very good. He had never been so pleasant. Maydol's heart suddenly had a very carefree feeling. This feeling rose from the tailbone all the way to the top of the head, making Maydol very carefree. She actually had the illusion that she was floating like a fairy. Perhaps it was because of the director's attitude, Maydol's mood was infinitely better. Even when she was acting, her acting was very good. Her acting skills were unleashed, and she basically passed in one take. In the past, acting was torture, and she was afraid of being scolded by the director. Now, she felt that the dark clouds over her head had dispersed. Ever since she entered the entertainment industry, she had never been so carefree. Ning Shu looked at the blush on Maydol's face, and there was an unconcealable arrogance between his eyebrows. She had suffered so much before, and now she suddenly turned the tables. The people who looked down on her were fawning on her. No matter how tough a person's heart was, he would not be able to suppress the pride in his heart. Maydol was very proud now. Ning Shu smiled indifferently and handed the water bottle in his hand to Maydol. Madol pinched the water bottle with 2 fingers and took a sip. There was a sense of arrogance in her behavior. Ning Shu was expressionless. He said to Madol, "You are in a good state today. There will be the last scene later, and your role should be finished." Madol nodded, but when she thought of the last scene where she took off her pants and was beaten, Madol's bright and beautiful face suddenly became gloomy. Ning Shu was speechless. This was the beautiful and pure Madol. Ning Shu smiled indifferently and did not speak. Madol still braced herself to finish the last scene. Her pants were taken off in public. Madol's heart was filled with an indescribable sadness. This was because she did not have the ability. If she was successful today, or if she had a strong background, she would not have to suffer like this. Someone would suffer for her. Madol finished the last scene with difficulty. She felt that the people around her were looking at her with contempt. Madol did not want to stay for a moment. She got in the car with an ugly expression. Ning Shu sat in the driver's seat. He glanced at Madol and said with a smile, "Congratulations on finishing." "How is this considered finishing?" "It's just a small role." Madol's expression was not very comfortable. Small role? Ning Shu felt that Madol's heart was too big. With Mojave's help, she experienced the feeling of a salted fish turning over a new leaf. Her mentality was unbalanced. Not long after, Madol's TV series premiered on the TV. The ratings were good. Madol stayed in front of the TV and watched. Madol looked at herself on the TV and felt very satisfied. She played another role in the TV series and lived another life. There were so many people who saw her through the screen and knew her. Madol's heart was filled with a sense of vanity. Ning Shu, on the other hand, went online to check the audience's opinions on Mai-er's character. Unsurprisingly, the audience hated Mai-er, the vixen servant girl, and they were all cursing her. There were all kinds of unpleasant words. For example, they said that Madol looked pure and innocent, but she was lascivious on the inside. Especially women, they were even more disgusted by Madol. Madol was a little famous, but the people who knew Madol looked at her with disdain. "Oh, it's that fox spirit." Even if Madol did not do anything out of line, the label of a pure and seductive fox spirit was put on Madol's head. This was the first impression she gave people. Even if she acted in other shows in the future, people's impression of her would stay at this role. Ning Shu pushed the laptop in front of Madol and let her see the comments on the internet. Chapter 305. Madol felt that her acting skills were not bad. The more she watched, the more satisfied she was. Looking at Madol's proud face, Ning Shu pushed the laptop in front of Madol. She didn't know if she could still be proud after seeing the netizens' abuse of her. Madol browsed the information on the internet. The more she read, the darker her face became. She frowned tightly and was very emotional. She couldn't suppress the anger in her voice. "This is just a role. They can attack this role, but why do they attack me? I'm not a vixen at all. They don't know anything and they attack me like this." Madol was so angry that tears came down. She wanted to smash the laptop. Ning Shu grabbed the laptop in Madol's hand and said lightly, "I said at the time that this role is too negative." My duo, kept taking deep breaths. She was about to explode from anger. Ning Shu comforted her. "This shows that you have successfully created this character. This character is already very hateful." Madol seemed to be crying. Her expression was very ugly. She clenched her fists tightly and her nails dug into her flesh. Finally, she said, "Anyway, I'm a little famous now. I can act in other plays to eliminate this kind of influence." Ning Shu smiled and said, "You're right. Your acting career is still very long. This role is just one of them." Although Madol was famous, although this fame was accumulated by the accumulation of abuse, there were still not many people who wanted her to act. Madol thought that when she was famous, there would be directors who wanted her to act. However, after staying in the apartment for so long, no one called her. Maydol felt that waiting at home was not a good thing, so she went to auditions everywhere. Ning Shu ignored Maydol's jumping up and down. He had more important things to do, that was, Joey's album was about to be released. He had been very busy recently. After Joey's album was released, it was not a hit, but the sales were slowly increasing, which made Ning Shu feel very gratified. To be honest, if you want to promote someone, you should promote someone with a clear mind like Joey. Someone like Maydol, who lived in her own world and couldn't think clearly, would be troublesome. Maydol went to audition for a lot of roles, but she didn't get any role. Some directors even said that she didn't know how to act, and they were all famous directors. This made Maydol feel very defeated. She clearly already had a work. She didn't have to be the female lead, but she couldn't even audition for the second, third, and fourth female lead. Back at the apartment, Maydol dragged her tired body back and saw her agent talking to Joey about the sales of the album. Looking at Joey, who was getting more and more popular with a smile on his face, Maydol felt sour and bitter in her heart and was very jealous. Ning Shu saw Maydol, who was standing at the door, staring blankly. She has worked hard to get all these. The company pursues profits. Qiao Yi can bring more benefits to the company. Of course, the company is willing to spend more resources on Qiao Yi, Ning Shu said indifferently. Maydol, haven't I treated you well enough? Maydol was speechless. She realized that there was no way to refute her manager's words. Her manager was indeed good to her. But. Maydol felt that this was not the case. Something was wrong. Something was really wrong. Ning Shu smiled faintly. If you succeed, the company will also put more resources in front of you and make you better. Maydol felt very irritated. She was very irritated. She was not like this in her dreams at night. The current Maydol was even afraid of daybreak. Every day made her so tired and afraid. She was afraid of not having a goal and not succeeding. She was so idle that her heart could not be at ease. Maydol looked at her manager's cold face. Maydol's face revealed a flattering smile and said, "Of course I know that Sister Chen is good to me. It's just that I haven't been able to get a role recently. I'm in a bad mood and I don't think before I speak." Ning Shu smiled comfortingly. "It's okay." Chapter 306. Ning Shu looked at the dispirited Maydol and comforted her, "Don't worry. I'll get you some good roles later. If there are any announcements from the company, I'll get you a role." Maydol nodded and rubbed her eyebrows. Ning Shu said again, "You should have a good rest during this time. You're too tired. Some things can't be done overnight. All actors have to endure it slowly and polish their acting skills. You shouldn't be in such a hurry." Mai-er sighed. She wanted to be famous. She really wanted to be famous because she really did not want to suffer anymore. This was considered a time for Mai-er to experience the cruelty of the entertainment industry. There was also a clear hierarchy. The lower one was at the bottom of the pyramid, the harder it would be for them. No one treated her as a human. My duo had had enough of this kind of suffering. Now, my duo wanted to climb up even if she had to pay any price. She didn't want to suffer like this anymore. She didn't want to be trampled on, looked down upon, and lived without dignity. Ning Shu didn't say anything. He turned around and left. Maydol was impetuous. Coupled with the suffering she had suffered before, she realized the cruelty and vanity of the entertainment circle. A life of luxury made people lose themselves. Ning Shu didn't get Maydol a role for the time being. He said that he wanted to let Maydol have a good rest. When she was free, she could go shopping or something. The more impetuous Maydol was, the more advantageous it was for her task. But not long after, Maidol ran to Ning Shu excitedly and told him that she had got a role, and it was the second female lead. Ning Shu was stunned. Maidol actually got the role of the second female lead. It was a qualitative breakthrough. Ning Shu immediately checked the movie that my duo had accepted. It was a TV series that MO Entertainment Group had invested in. In other words, MO Juefeng had invested in this TV series and my duo was going to be the second female lead. Ning Shu looked at Maidol suspiciously. Did Maidol and Mojave have some substantial development? The company doesn't have this notice. You're taking a private job and violating the company's contract. Ning Shu said lightly, you can't play this role. Maidol's happy expression froze. Why can't I play this role? It wasn't easy for me to pass the audition. You're not in accordance with the company's rules. Ning Shu said very coldly. Maidol begged Ning Shu, Sister Chen, I really want to play this role. I beg you. You want to play this role so much? Ning Shu raised her eyebrows and asked. Maidol's eyes were pleading. Her eyes were lovely and moving. Sister Chen, I beg you. This is my only chance. I beg you. It's not that you can't play this role. Ning Shu said, it's just that the company will also take a share of your salary. It's also considered a company notice. Thank you so much Sister Chen. Maidol said gratefully. She was so excited that she almost cried. Ning Shu just silently looked at the excited Maidol. The original Maidol had painstakingly planned for Maidol, but he had never heard Maidol say thank you. Instead, the original Ning Shu resented Chen Shi. And because of one sentence from Maidol, Chen Shi's life was destroyed. In the end, she died an unnatural death. Chen Shi was so resentful that she gave up her soul. Just to let Maidol struggle in the entertainment industry, she struggled bitterly. When Maidol was filming, Ning Shu was by her side. When they arrived at the set, Ning Shu actually saw Mojave personally supervising the progress of the filming. Ning Shu asked Maidol, was your second female lead role decided by Mojave? My duo saw Mo Juefeng sitting under the parasol. His legs were long and slender, and he looked very handsome and noble. Maidol's heart was a little chaotic. When she heard Ning Shu's question, she said shyly, when I was auditioning, Mojave was indeed there. In the end, he also let me be the second female lead. Oh. Ning Shu's face revealed a meaningful and ambiguous smile. Why do I feel that Mojave treats you differently? But if you can get the prince's pity, you can just wait to be famous and stand in the entertainment industry's limelight. Maidol's eyes flashed. She couldn't help but refute, Sister Chen, it's not like that. He is the high and mighty prince. How could he like someone like me? Sister Chen, don't talk nonsense. If there are any unpleasant rumors, I won't be able to stand in this industry. Maidol said this, but her eyes kept glancing at Mojave. Not only Maidol, but all the female stars present were intentionally or unintentionally looking at Mojave. Mojave wore sunglasses and lay on the recliner, ignoring the surrounding gazes. Maidol took a deep breath and walked past Mojave. She didn't know whether Mojave did it on purpose or not, but he stretched out his long legs and tripped Maidol. Maidol fell to the ground in a very sorry state. She quickly got up from the ground. Mojave took off his glasses and looked at Maidol. Why are you always like this every time I see you? Don't you think you are a little too much? You were the one who tripped me. You were also the one who hit me with your car last time. You are looking for trouble with me, and I am too much? Maidol had never seen such a shameless man. Mojave said leisurely, every time I see your stupid look, I feel that my eyes are dirty. Don't you think you are too much? Maidol bit her lip and turned to leave. Mojave looked at Maidol's back and chuckled. Ning Shu, that this kind of scene really stung his eyes. The relationship between the male and female leads couldn't be severed. Ning Shu waited in the car for Maidol to finish filming. Sometimes, he would pay attention to Mojave and realize that Mojave's gaze would sometimes land on Maydol. When she was filming, she would always feel a burning gaze following her like a shadow. It made her very uncomfortable, and her body would stiffen during filming. This caused her to always have bad takes during filming. Mojave stood up and walked toward Maydol with his long and slender legs. My duo, saw Mojufeng walking towards her. His body exuded a strong pressure and a strong hormonal aura. He was strong and domineering. When Mojufeng walked in front of my duo, she subconsciously held her breath. Mojave looked down at Maydol and said sarcastically, "Are you an actress or not? You can't even act well. I am starting to doubt my decision to let you be the second female lead." WH. What? Maydol didn't know how to react. Mojave sneered. You are indeed a stupid woman. You can't even understand what I am saying. I can do it. Maydol subconsciously made her expression look more innocent and pure. It was almost an instinctive reaction. But sometimes, a person's eyes would reveal some things. Mojave looked down and saw Maydol's eyes. There were many things in them. How interesting. Chapter 307. Mojave waved his hand and stopped the filming. In any case, Mojave invested in the film, and the money that was burned was Mojave's, so no one dared to say anything. Mojave lightly said, "Today's filming will end here." Yes. The director responded with a respectful attitude. Mojave mockingly said to Maydol, "You better practice your acting skills. With your acting skills, you still want to act." TSK, Maydol's face suddenly turned green, but she was apprehensive about the identity of the person in front of her, so she endured it. Biting her lips, she said, "I know, I will definitely work hard, Mr. Ng." Mojave's eyes flashed with a trace of disappointment. He originally thought that she was a special woman, but he didn't expect her to be like this, with eyes full of flattery. There were too many women like her in the entertainment industry. Mojave turned and left. Maydol looked at Mojave's back, bit her lips, changed her clothes, and somewhat dispiritedly got into the car. Congratulations. Ning Shu smiled and said to Maydol. Maydol's face was gloomy, and coldly said, "What's so good about it? Being humiliated like this, and by Mojave at that, I'm really anxious." Ning Shu smiled and said, "I think that Mojave is interested in you, and is deliberately attracting your attention. Even if he is looking for trouble with you, it is to attract your attention. There are so many actresses here, so why didn't he look for others, but look for you?" Maydol's face flashed with a trace of surprise, and her whole person seemed to come alive, but she didn't seem to be too sure, and anxiously asked, "Is that really the case? Sister Chen, do you mean that Mojave likes me?" Ning Shu pondered for a moment, and said, "If you say that he likes you, maybe he is interested. You have seen Mojave's ability, right? If you have a relationship with Mojave, if you become Mojave's wife, you will be rich in this life." Maydol listened to Ning Shu's description of the scene, and her eyes revealed a destructive light, and even her body began to tremble with excitement. Ning Shu said again, "Even if you can't get married, you can still get a lot of benefits from dating Mojave for a while, and maybe you can stand tall in the entertainment industry. This is not a bad deal." Maydol also thought so in her heart. She had tasted the sweetness of having Mojave as a backer last time. Mojave just casually said so, and the director who wanted to sleep with her treated her with a pleasant attitude. She no longer had to worry about being threatened by the wretched director. Maydol, who had suffered so much, had become realistic now. She wanted a strong backer to let her go unhindered in the entertainment industry, and now that Mojave was interested in her, she had to pay for what she got. Maydol was willing to pay something in exchange for success. What Maydol had insisted on in the past, she could now pay for it as a transaction. Ning Shu drove the car and looked at Maydol's changing expression from the corner of his eye. He smiled faintly. That pure and uncaring girl never cared about gains and losses. Even if she had sex with Mojave, Maydol had never asked for anything. However, it was this kind of Maydol that made Mojave cherish her very much. He paved the way for her everywhere and didn't let her suffer a little. Maydol invisibly and vividly explained what it meant to fight if you don't fight for it. However, now Maydol approached Mojave with complicated thoughts. She was strong without desires. Now, there were too many desires between Maydol and Mojave, so the love between them was not so pure. Ning Shu smiled. The environment and experience could really change a person's character. The pure and beautiful Maydol had now become utilitarian. Ning Shu suddenly found that he had become smart. Although his starting point at that time was to let Maydol suffer more, he had never thought that Maydol would become like this. Ning Shu was suddenly curious about the ending of the love between Maydol and Mojave. Ning Shu was driving the car when suddenly a car rushed out and blocked in front of the car. Ning Shu hurriedly stepped on the brakes, and the tires and the ground screeched. The car stopped suddenly, and Ning Shu and Maydol's bodies fell back. What the fuck, were they looking for death? Ning Shu looked at the cool luxury car in front of him. When he was about to get out of the car to argue, the person in the luxury car got out, knocked on the window, and said to Maydol in the car, "Come out." Maydol did not expect Mojave. She quickly rolled down the window, suppressed her strong feelings, and asked Mojave, "How do you drive? Do you know that you almost had an accident? Come out, or do you want me to drag you out?" Mojave said to Maydol. Maydol seemed to be very angry. She pouted and did not get out of the car. Mojave reached out and pinched Maydol's chin with one hand, and opened the door with the other. "If you don't get out, I will drag you out." "Let go." "I'll get out." Pried his hand off her chin and got out of the car. Ning Shu asked Maydol, "When will you come back?" "I will wait for you." Maydol wanted to say something, but Mojave stuffed her into the car. She did not even have time to speak. The male lead was so cool and domineering. Even the way he blocked people was so unacceptable. Damn, if she had reacted a little slower, she would have bumped into him. Such willful behavior that did not love life. Ning Shu could only say that only a Chinibu could be the male lead. Ning Shu returned to the apartment. He sat on the sofa and cultivated while waiting for Maydol to come back. However, Maydol did not come back for the whole night. Ning Shu waited for Maydol in the apartment for the whole night. Ning Shu was speechless. What could they do in one night? Did they have sex just like that? Was Maydol so anxious? If she was too anxious, didn't she know how to play hard to get? People would not cherish things that were too easy to get. Ning Shu shook his head. At this moment, his phone rang. It was Maydol. She told Ning Shu that she was at the set and asked Ning Shu to go there directly. Ning Shu ate his breakfast slowly before heading to the set. When he arrived, he saw Maydol and Mojave looking at each other lovingly. Maydol was like a beautiful flower that had been watered. She turned from a flower bud into a blooming flower. Her entire body was filled with the charm of a first married woman. They had indeed hooked up. Seeing Ning Shu, Maydol walked over. Her walking posture was a little stiff, as if she was walking with her legs between her legs. She looked inexperienced. When Mojave saw Maydol like this, his eyes deepened. He rubbed his thin lips with his fingers and looked satisfied. He was like a lion that had eaten its fill. Although he was full, his eyes were still on the meat. "You two did it so soon?" Ning Shu asked Maydol. Maydol blushed and nodded. "I didn't want to disappoint Mojave. When he kissed me, I pushed him away." Maydol endured the pain of having her melon broken. She tried her best to please Mojave. Only by pleasing Mojave could she get more things. TSK, TSK, TSK. Ning Shu shook his head in his heart. Now Maydol wanted to get what she wanted from Mojave. From the beginning, the relationship between the two was not equal. Chapter 308. P.S. Don't rush to play after reading it. Remember to vote for a monthly vote first. From now on, you can enjoy double monthly votes for the 515 Fan Festival. You can also take a look at other activities that give out red packets. Ning Shu didn't expect Maidel to give up her principles so quickly and become the woman she despised. In order to succeed, she sacrificed her body. Therefore, people who have never suffered have no right to despise others, but Ning Shu wouldn't despise Maidel because this was Maidel's own choice. Everyone has their own way of survival. It's just that the current Maidel couldn't look down on others because she was no different. Ning Shu saw that Maidel's body was a little uncomfortable and asked, "Do you want me to buy some anti-inflammatory medicine for you?" It was probably too intense last night, and her body couldn't take it. Maidel nodded and looked at Ning Shu and said, "Sister Chen, can I ask you for something?" "Say it." Ning Shu was ready to get out of the car to buy anti-inflammatory medicine for Maidel. Maidel bit her lips. Ning Shu said, "I hope you don't tell others about Mojave and me." "I don't want others to know about Mojave and me." "Why?" Ning Shu pretended to be puzzled and asked, "If others know about your relationship with Mojave, it will make you like a fish in water in the entertainment industry. Moreover, others will know that you are Mojave's woman. This way, others won't dare to be disrespectful to you." Maidel bit her lips and finally said, "But I don't want others to know. To be able to do this, I have already risked it, but I don't want others to say that I relied on my body to get to where I am." Ning Shu was really speechless. "Aren't you relying on your body to get to where you are now?" She was really a prostitute who wanted to establish a monument to her chastity. She was trying her best to justify and rationalize her actions. Ning Shu nodded and said, "I know. But if you can get along with Mojave, your acting career will be much smoother in the future." "Maidel, there's something I don't know if I should say." "Sister Chen, go ahead." Maidel endured the discomfort of her body and said to Ning Shu. However, as her agent said, being able to climb up to Mojave, especially the noble Mojave, made Maidel very happy. "Do you think you and Mojave have a future?" Ning Shu looked at Maidel and asked. In Maidel's mind, she thought of Mojave's evil appearance and the feeling of him pressing down on her body. It was so hot that it was suffocating. The ups and downs were addictive, joyful and painful. This feeling was completely different from the disgusting feeling that the director gave her before. Maidel's face was a little red. "I want to have a future with Mojave, but I know that a person like him wouldn't be interested in a small artist like me. So, during this period of time when you are related to Mojave, try to get as many benefits as you can. If you don't want anything, when Mojave is tired of you, you won't get anything. Take advantage of the time when Mojave is new to you and make more plans for yourself," Ning Shu said lightly. Maidel bit her lips. When she heard her manager say that she might be tired of and abandoned by Mojave, Maidel felt like her heart was being twisted. It was just that one night. Maidel felt that she had fallen in love with this noble and extraordinary man. His powerful ability made people feel safe. Maidel's heart wanted to be with Mojave forever. But now that she heard her manager say that she might end up with nothing, Maidel hesitated. Because of Mojave's powerful ability, she wanted to rely on Mojave. She wanted to give her body but didn't get anything in return. It made people feel unreconciled. "Sister Chen, I know. I already have an idea in my heart," Maidel said. Ning Shu nodded and went to the pharmacy to buy medicine for Maidel. Walking into the pharmacy, Ning Shu suddenly thought of whether Maidel and Mojave had taken contraceptive measures. Then Ning Shu felt that she was thinking too much. Mojave and Maidel weren't pregnant before they got married. Worrying about nothing, she really became an old mother. Ning Shu gave the medicine to Maidel. Seeing Maidel take the medicine, Ning Shu wanted to ask if Maidel had done anything. Just as she was about to speak, Maidel opened the car door and got out, making Ning Shu swallow the words in her throat. Forget it, she didn't need to worry about these things. Even when they were filming, Ning Shu felt that there was a strong affection between Mojave and Maydol. It should be like this between the male lead and the female lead. When Maydol was about to kiss the second male lead, Mojave's face suddenly darkened. Before they kissed, Mojave immediately shouted cut. Then very willfully decided not to shoot today, completely regardless of the shooting progress. How willful he was to burn money made Ning Shu really feel that it was cool, crazy, and domineering. Mojave pointed at Maydol with his finger. Maydol's face suddenly turned red. Others felt that Maydol's acting was not good and had annoyed the crown prince. But only Maydol saw the passion and domineering possessiveness in Mojave's eyes. Maydol didn't dare to look at Mojave's eyes and hurriedly got into the car. Ning Shu shook her head and drove. Maydol said, "Sister Chen, just drop me off in front." "You're not going back today?" Ning Shu asked. Was she going to stick to Mojave every day now? "Sister Chen, I don't really want to go back recently. Mojave bought me a villa in Qingshui Park." Maydol's face was flushed. She said shyly, "Mojave said that this is a place for the two of us. I might be living there in the future." "Villa? Villa, he gave you a villa in just one night. The crown prince is really generous." Ning Shu said with a smile. "Looks like you're really going to have a meteoric rise. Congratulations." Maydol flipped her hair with a smile on her face. "I was shocked at that time too." At that time, Mojave brought her to the villa. After one night, Mojave gave the villa to her. Maydol felt like she didn't buy the lottery at that time. Instead, she picked up a lottery ticket and won 5 million. Maydol hesitated for a moment and didn't accept the villa. However, Mojave insisted on giving her the key to the villa. Looking at Maydol's radiant face and a luxurious car parked in front of them, Ning Shu stepped on the brakes and said to Maydol, "Hey, your man is waiting for you in front." Maydol opened the car door and sat in the luxurious car in front. Ning Shu kept staring at the car in front. He only retracted his gaze when the car in front turned and disappeared from his sight. He started the car and returned to the apartment. At the entrance of the apartment, he met the little fresh meat, Xia Yi. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. Seeing such a young and handsome little fresh meat, her heart didn't waver at all. Ning Shu felt that there was something wrong with his sense of beauty. "Sister Chen, I've finished filming my advertisement. Do I have any other work to do?" Xia Yi revealed his white teeth. Ning Shu smiled brightly. He was really handsome. Chapter 309. P.S. Don't rush to play after you finish reading it. Remember to vote for it. From now on, you can get double monthly votes for the 515 Fan Festival. You can also take a look at the other activities. Ning Shu ignored Xia Yi, who was smiling brightly. He took out the key and opened the door. Xia Yi followed Ning Shu into the room. "Sister Chen, say something to me." Xia Yi stood in front of Ning Shu. Although Xia Yi was young, she was a head taller than Ning Shu. She stood in front of Ning Shu and looked down at Ning Shu with an evil look. Ning Shu looked up at Xia Yi and said, "What do you want to say to me?" "If I want to talk to you, just talk. Why do you like to get so close to me? I'm old and can't take your tricks." Xia Yi rolled her eyes and said, "Sister, I'm talking to you about something serious. But your attitude is not serious." Ning Shu sat on the sofa and took a sip of water. Sister Chen, I just want to ask about the advertisement. My advertisement has been on TV for a long time. Didn't you notice it?" Xia Yi supported herself against the wall with one hand and covered her heart with the other. "Sister Chen, you hurt my heart too much." Ning Shu took another sip of tea and flipped through the notebook. He asked Xia Yi, "What do you want to do?" "You should have a goal." Xiao Yi went to sing and Maydol went to act. "What about you?" Xia Yi was a little confused and said, I don't think I'm good at acting and singing. I'm just handsome. I can do anything because I'm handsome. I'll go. Ning Shu rolled her eyes. This was too much. I think I like to do advertisements. They're short and not as hard as acting. Xia Yi reached out her hand and made a peace sign with Ning Shu. She acted cute to Ning Shu. Ning Shu put down his teacup and said, "You don't have any fame at all. Why would anyone want to hire you to shoot an advertisement? Think carefully about which path you want to take. It's not good to be fooling around like this. Think about what path you want to take." Xia Yi scratched her head. I don't know what I'm interested in. I just want to be famous. Whatever you're interested in, I'll try my best to help you fight for resources. It's better to find a direction than to run around aimlessly. Ning Shu waved his hand and said, "Pick a direction. If you don't have any special features, you'll just fade into the crowd. You want to be famous? Famous my ass. Think about it yourself. I haven't had a good rest for a few days. I'm going to sleep." "Alright, Sister Chen." Xia Yi left sullenly. Ning Shu looked at him and said, "There was a film festival invitation, but you don't have any works. You can't even join in the fun." Xia Yi was even more depressed. "Sister Chen, why don't I make a movie? Why don't you make an idol drama? Anyway, you're so handsome. You should be able to charm a lot of girls," Ning Shu said lightly. Xia Yi's eyes lit up. "Good idea, Sister Chen. Do you have any idol drama roles? I want to audition. I'll go to the company and ask. I'll definitely find a suitable role for you," Ning Shu said with a smile. After seeing Xia Yi off, Ning Shu went back to bed and fell asleep. Since he came to this world, Ning Shu had been busy. He felt very tired, very tired. When he woke up, it was already noon the next day. He turned on his phone and saw a lot of messages. Among them, there was a message from Maidol, telling Ning Shu that she wouldn't go to the set today and that she didn't have to film today. Wow, she's so capricious. Ning Shu stretched. He was too lazy to care about it. He would just let Maidol fool around with her sugar daddy. Ning Shu never cared about Maidol's future. Now, Maidol was very ambitious. After suffering, Maidol knew how to plan for herself. Ning Shu sent the notice to his artists and then cooked at home. He felt that it was necessary for him to learn how to cook. As a mission enforcer, if he didn't know how to cook, he wouldn't know what he could eat and what he couldn't eat. If the mission was under extreme conditions, he wouldn't be able to complete it. However, Ning Shu realized that he really didn't have the talent to cook. The things he made were too horrible. He couldn't even cook a simple porridge. Ning Shu felt that he was useless. He remembered that there were fasting pills in the exchange store. Every time he entered a mission, he would exchange for some fasting pills so that he wouldn't starve to death. Also, fasting pills weren't expensive. Ning Shu completely gave up on cooking. Some talents couldn't be learned. Ning Shu had been busy before. Now that he was free, he felt a little empty. His artists were all on the right track. Xia Yi really went to act in idol dramas. After Joey's album was released, he started to learn again. Looking at Joey's path, he was going to walk the path of creating original works. As for there was no need to talk about her. She barely saw her once a month. She and Mo Juefeng were always lovey-dovey with each other. Her acting was slack as well. After the filming of the movie was completed, got a role as the female lead. She jumped from the second female lead to the first female lead. It was like sitting on a rocket. It was really different to have someone to support you. Ning Shu went to the new filming location to meet Maidol. The first thing Maidol said was, "Sister Chen, in the future, take on more shows for me. Don't take on any kissing scenes or big scenes." Ning Shu was speechless. If you can't have a kissing scene, then what are you going to do? You might as well just stop acting and let MOGUFN support you. You'll be fine with that. My duo's temperament had undergone an earth-shattering change. In the past, my duo was incomparably pure. Now, my duo had flaming red lips, and her makeup had completely concealed her pure temperament. This kind of forced maturity made my duo appear neither fish nor fowl. Ning Shu didn't understand why Maydol was so keen on this kind of makeup. It was said that when a woman put on heavy makeup, she had to make a big move. What was Maydol doing now? Maydol, why do you put on this kind of makeup? Ning Shu couldn't help but ask. Maydol's advantage was that she had a pure and pitiful face, but the old-fashioned makeup made Maydol's advantage almost completely disappear. Moreover, Maydol couldn't suppress such charming makeup. Did Maydol suffer a blow? Why couldn't he figure it out? Maydol's face showed a dim look. Ning Shu said, Sister Chen, I feel that Mojave is tired of me. He is always surrounded by a lot of women. These women are very beautiful, charming and affectionate. I think Mojave likes this kind of woman. So you want to use this kind of method to keep Mojave? Ning Shu almost laughed out loud. Mojave liked pure women. Maydol's method would only make Mojave tired of her faster. Ning Shu wouldn't remind Maydol. She would be happy if there was a problem between Maydol and Mojave. Ning Shu turned his head and looked at Maydol's red lips. He looked away and said, So, you have to plan for yourself. While Mojave still likes you, you have to make more plans. Maydol nodded. Ning Shu said, I asked Mojave for this role. Ning Shu, Maydol was really different now. Chapter 310. P.S. Don't rush to play after reading it. Remember to vote for a monthly vote first. From now on, you can enjoy double the monthly votes for the 515 Fan Festival. You can also take a look at other activities that give out red packets. Ning Shu didn't expect that Maydol would take the initiative to ask Mojave for a role. She was completely different from the Maydol in the plot who had no desires. Taking the initiative to give and taking the initiative to ask were two completely different concepts. Ning Shu shook his head. He was afraid that Mojave and Maydol wouldn't be able to walk together to the end. Mojave liked women who were pure and didn't know much about the world. That kind of purity that made people want to protect her. However, Maydol didn't have that kind of temperament now. She only had vanity and success in her heart. When Maydol asked Mojave for a role, Mojave probably already sentenced Maydol to death in his heart. It's okay. I've said it before. People like the Crown Prince are just greedy for novelty, so you have to plan for yourself. This role is very good. Maydol's face revealed a bitter smile that seemed to be both laughing and crying. Her tears fell down. Ning Shu cried and said, Chen Jia, I don't want to be separated from Mojave. I really love him. I can't bear to be separated from him. Ning Shu was speechless. She usually didn't see him, but now he was treating her like a trash can. Ning Shu was expressionless. What do you want to do with me? Maydol's makeup was ruined from crying. She could only stop crying and redo her makeup. To be honest, with heavy makeup on her face, it was really ugly when she cried. It was far from being delicate and moving when she cried without makeup. She didn't have the feeling of a lotus flower emerging from the water. He was really worried for Maydol that she was wasting her advantage like this. Maydol was also oblivious to the situation. In addition, she liked Mojave and tried all ways to stay by Mojave's side. However, this only made Mojave more tired of her. She watched as Mador painted her lips red, opened the car door, and got out of the car flirtatiously with her branded handbag. Ning Shu shook his head. She had painted a tiger as a dog. Ning Shu waited for Maydol. After a day of shooting, Maydol dragged her tired body into the car. He started the car and asked Maydol, Are you stopping in front? Is Mojave coming to pick you up? Maydol shook her head and said, I don't want to go to the villa. Mojave won't come to pick me up. I want to go back to the apartment. Ning Shu nodded and started the car to the apartment. Looking at Maydol's lonely and sad expression, it seemed that their future was really bleak. Back at the apartment, Maydol went to take a shower first and then went back to the bedroom to sleep. Ning Shu could hear Maydol's suppressed crying outside the door. Ning Shu didn't go to comfort Maydol. Perhaps her mission would be completed soon. Now, even though Maydol and Mojave were lovers, the two of them weren't as inseparable as in the plot. Mojave also didn't dote on Maydol like in the plot and give everything to Maydol. Ning Shu slept in the apartment. The next morning, he saw Maydol rushing out of the bathroom and covering her mouth. Then, there was the sound of vomiting. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. This sign, Maydol was pregnant. Ning Shu stood at the door of the bathroom and waited for Maydol to come out. When Maydol came out, her face was pale, but she still walked out holding the wall. Ning Shu was even more certain of her suspicions. She asked, "Are you pregnant?" This is impossible." Maydol's face was full of horror. Her whole body went soft and she fell to the ground. Ning Shu asked again, "Didn't you use any protection?" Maydol's face was pale. At this moment, it was already gray. She didn't have the joy of being a mother at all. Instead, her face was full of horror and her expression was particularly twisted. Maydol was panicking. When she saw Ning Shu's calm look, her heart also calmed down. Ning Shu asked, "Sister Chen, what should I do?" "What should I do?" Ning Shu asked indifferently, "What do you think?" I. Maydol held her stomach and didn't know what to do. "I still have a movie to film. This role is very important. What should I do? What should I do?" Ning Shu frowned. "How did you get pregnant?" "You will get pregnant like this." Mojave didn't use any protection. "Did you take birth control pills?" Maydol shook her head in panic. "No. I didn't. And I didn't know that I had to take pills." Damn, she was indeed the pure White Lotus female lead. She didn't even know this. She was drunk. Maydol had never seen Mojave use any protection. In order to please Mojave, Maydol didn't take the initiative to let Mojave use any protection. She was afraid that Mojave wouldn't like her. She was careful in front of Mojave. But Maydol really didn't know that she had to take pills after the deed. Ning Shu, loving a woman wouldn't let her suffer like this. It seemed that Mojave didn't like Maydol very much. TSK. In the plot, Maydol wasn't pregnant before marriage. Maybe she was pregnant, but the two of them got married immediately. But now, would Mojave marry Maydol? Ning Shu felt very uncertain. Very uncertain. What do you plan to do now? This child is Mojave's. If you have this child, you might have a happy ending with Mojave. Ning Shu said uncertainly, "No matter what, Mojave is the father of this child. He has a responsibility for this child." Really? Can I really have a future with Mojave? Is it possible with this child? Maydol's face didn't look so bad. There was a little light in her eyes. She bit her lips tightly. "No matter what, I have to give birth to this child," Maydol said firmly. As long as this child was alive, there would be a connection between her and Mojave. She was the child's mother, and Mojave was the child's father. What if Mojave doesn't agree? Ning Shu asked. My duo clenched her teeth and said, "Even if Emojufeng doesn't agree, I will give birth to the baby secretly. If it doesn't work, I will leave Jiang City and give birth to the baby somewhere else." Ning Shu, was she going to run with the ball at this pace? Ning Shu suspected that he had taken the wrong script. What about giving birth? Will you raise this child after giving birth? You have to think carefully. This child won't have a father when it is born. Your career is now on the rise. If you suddenly give birth to a child, the fame that you worked hard for will be gone. Ning Shu looked at Maydol's determined expression and asked aloud. Maydol was at a loss again. Ning Shu asked, then what should I do? Ning Shu, fuck, you guys are having fun. Now you ask me what to do. How would I know? Ning Shu's mouth twitched and asked, what are you thinking? What kind of result do you want? I want. Maydol stuttered for a long time but couldn't say it. Chapter 311. P.S. Don't rush to play after reading it. Remember to vote for the monthly ticket first. From now on, you can enjoy double the monthly ticket for the 5/15 Fan Festival. You can also take a look at other activities with red packets. Ning Shu wanted to know what Maydol was thinking. When he asked her, Maydol stammered and couldn't say anything. What are you thinking? Ning Shu asked Maydol. Your current behavior seriously affects the interests of the company. There has to be a solution. Maydol bit her lip and finally looked at Ning Shu and said, I want to be Mojave's wife and let my child have a father. Ning Shu nodded. Sure enough, Maydol was still very ambitious. She wanted to be Mojave's wife, but this time it wouldn't be so easy. Ning Shu only heard the details of the relationship between Mojave and Maydol. He could probably guess that Mojave was only interested in Maydol for a while. Mojave didn't like women who were too vain, impetuous, and utilitarian. Maydol had been forced by Ning Shu to film some time ago. She had suffered a lot and seen a lot of cruelty and darkness. She was no longer the pure girl she used to be. Maydol couldn't attract Mojave now. Maybe she was a little bit attracted, but as time went by, Maydol's pure temperament disappeared. She was no different from the women in the entertainment circle. So are you going to find Mojave now and tell him about this? Ning Shu asked. No matter what, you should try. After all, Mojave is responsible for this child. Maydol nodded and held Ning Shu's hand tightly. She begged, Sister Chen, can you go with me? I'm scared. I'm scared to face Mojave alone. Maydol seemed to feel that she might not be able to bear the result, so Maydol wanted to call another person. Her agent was her best choice. Ning Shu nodded and said, I'll go with you. Maydol's face looked better. She immediately called Mojave. When she was on the phone, Maydol covered her mouth to prevent herself from crying. She told Mojave that they would meet at the villa at night. After the phone call, Maydol suddenly cried. Ning Shu poured a cup of hot milk for Maydol and said, eat something. We'll go there at night. You have to make yourself feel better. I know, Sister Chen. Do you think Mojave will agree to my proposal? Maydol asked Ning Shu with uncertainty. Ning Shu, you're not even sure. Why are you asking me? After drinking the milk, Maydol went to sleep again. Her face was very pale and she seemed to be in a trance. All kinds of emotions accumulated in her heart, which made Maydol feel disheartened. Ning Shu looked at Maydol and said, actually, it hasn't been confirmed yet. Let's go to the hospital. Maybe you're not pregnant. Really? Let's go to the hospital now. When Maydol heard Ning Shu's words, she seemed to be injected with vitality. She anxiously urged her agent to take her to the hospital. As her agent said, maybe she was not pregnant at all. Ning Shu drove Maydol to the hospital. Maydol and Ning Shu sat on the chairs in the corridor. Maydol's face was full of nervousness. Her 10 fingers were intertwined so hard that her knuckles had turned white. Ning Shu sat beside her and felt that Maydol's body was already trembling. Don't be nervous, Ning Shu said indifferently. Sister Chen, I have a bad feeling. I might really be pregnant. I'm scared. I'm really scared. I haven't been here for almost 2 months. My duo grabbed Ning Shu's hand so tightly that her nails almost dug into Ning Shu's flesh. Sister Chen, I have a bad feeling. Ning Shu's face was expressionless. He said numbly, the results are not out yet. Don't be so anxious. On the 25th, Maydol, come in. The nurse shouted at Maydol. Maydol was so scared that her limbs went soft. She sat on the chair and couldn't get up. Ning Shu helped Maydol into the office. Maydol looked at the doctor with a pale face. The doctor glanced at Maydol and said indifferently, 7 weeks pregnant. Maydol instantly felt as if she was struck by lightning. Previously, her manager said that it might be fake and gave her hope. But now, this hope was shattered. This feeling was even more painful. Maydol was helped out of the hospital by Ning Shu. She sat in the car in a daze. As soon as she got in the car, Maydol cried. Her whole body seemed to have been sucked out of her. Ning Shu smiled indifferently. Perhaps there would be another blow tonight. After returning to the apartment, Ning Shu let the absent-minded Maydol go to sleep first. Everything would have to wait until night. Don't be too pessimistic. Maybe Mojave is also looking forward to this child. Maybe things will develop in a good direction. You go rest first. I'll accompany you to the villa tonight. Ning Shu helped Maydol to sleep and pulled the quilt for her. Maydol's eyes were dim. She stared blankly at Ning Shu and said in a calm voice, Sister Chen, why am I in so much pain? Why is my life so terrible? I want to succeed. I'm wrong. Do I have to play a minor role for the rest of my life? I don't want to suffer anymore. I want to be a movie queen. Maydol said while crying. Ning Shu said expressionlessly, that's right. What you want is not wrong. But you hurt others and caused their deaths. Don't think too much. Have a good rest. I'll go with you tonight. Ning Shu stood up and closed the curtains of the room. The room suddenly became darker. Maydol closed her eyes with tears in the corner of her eyes. Ning Shu went out and closed the bedroom door. Then he arranged work for several of his artists. Ning Shu was busy for a while. When Maydol woke up, it was already dark. Ning Shu ordered some pizza in advance and asked Maydol to eat before going to the villa. Besides, it was still early before the appointed time. Maydol didn't have much appetite. She stopped eating after 2 mouthfuls. Without makeup, her face was even paler. Eat more. Only then can you deal with tonight's matter. I didn't tell the company about your matter because I wanted to deal with it in private and not let the company know. Ning Shu put another piece of pizza on the plate in front of Maydol. Nothing is more important than your own body. Maydol forced herself to eat 2 mouthfuls and then put it down again. Sister Chen, I really don't have any appetite. If this matter isn't solved, I won't be able to sleep and eat in peace. Ning Shu said lightly, it's useless for you to worry about this problem now. So don't just care about feeling good at the moment. You have to take care of yourself. Maydol only cared about pleasing Mojave. Now it seemed that men didn't care about you. They didn't need to think about anything. They never thought that their actions would bring harm to women. It was also my duo, herself, who was ignorant. She approached Mo Juefeng with ulterior motives. Both of them were impure people, so they hit it off immediately. Chapter 312. P.S. Don't rush to play after reading it. Remember to vote for the monthly ticket first. From now on, you can enjoy double the monthly ticket for the 5/15 Fan Festival. You can also take a look at other activities that give out red packets. Moreover, even if there was love between the two of them in the story, they were essentially a sugar daddy and a lover. However, this kind of relationship would appear beautiful in the name of love. Ning Shu ate the pizza. He finished half of the pizza by himself and was full. We should go. Ning Shu raised his wrist to look at his watch and said to Maydol. Maydol nodded. She took her purse and planned to follow Ning Shu out. Ning Shu looked at her pale face and asked, You're going like this? What else? Maydol asked with some doubt. She combed her hair with her fingers. Look at your ugly face. It's like you're going to collect a debt. Any man wouldn't like it. Put on some makeup. It's good to have some confidence. Ning Shu said faintly. If such a delicate and pitiful Maidol was in front of Mojave, Mojave might pity her. Ning Shu didn't want to take the risk. Maidol touched her face and turned back to the bedroom. When she came out again, her face was already done with makeup. Exquisite eyeliner and red lips made her look more energetic. Okay, let's go. Ning Shu brought Maidol out of the apartment and drove to the villa that Mojave gave to Maidol. Clearwater Garden was a wealthy area. The environment here was quiet and the land was very expensive. That was why Ning Shu said that Mojave was very generous. This villa was at least 10 million yuan. It was a symbol of status. It's right in front. Let's stop in front. Maidol said. Ning Shu stopped the car and looked at the villa. It was a beautiful and luxurious European-style villa. Ning Shu walked into the living room and saw a luxurious scene. There was no one in the villa. Mojave had not arrived yet. Has this house been transferred to your name? Maidol asked. Maidol sat on the sofa, shook her head and said, I have the key to the villa, but I don't know if it has been transferred to my name. Ning Shu was speechless. In other words, Maidol only had the right to live in the house, but the house was not hers. Ning Shu shook his head and sat on the sofa, waiting for Mojave to come. Ning Shu looked around the house and felt that it was very big. Just the living room was close to 300 square meters, not including the bedroom, guest room, kitchen, bathroom, and other miscellaneous rooms. The room was really big, and it was usually empty. What a waste. After arriving at this house, Maidol's mood became even worse. She seemed to be reminded of the past. Sister Chen, there are fruits in the fridge. If you want to eat, go and get them yourself. They are all imported fruits, Maidol said. Ning Shu nodded. She didn't care about imported fruits. Eating fruits was better than eating spirit marrow crystals. Did you and Mojave make an appointment at this time? Why isn't he here yet? Maidol looked at her wrist and asked Maidol. Maidol sat straight on the sofa. I clenched my fists and placed them on my lap. I looked very nervous. When I heard Ning Shu's question, I said, it's this time. Maybe he will come later. Maidol couldn't help but ask Ning Shu, Sister Chen, how should I tell Mojave about the pregnancy? Just say what you need to say. Just tell him directly. Ning Shu didn't seem to care. Ning Shu looked at the clock on the wall. It was ticking. It seemed like the hands were made of gold. After more than an hour, Ning Shu looked at the hands until her eyes hurt. She turned her head and saw Maidol still sitting straight on the sofa. She didn't even change her posture. Didn't she feel tired? Her nervous appearance made it seem like she was about to go to war. In fact, Maidol was afraid of Mojave. She always cared about Mojave's feelings. In front of Mojave, she was very humble. Ning Shu shook her head. The environment changed people too much. People couldn't help but be affected by their environment, especially when the environment was oppressive. Ning Shu took a deep breath. So, no matter what the environment was, one must maintain one's heart. In the future, no matter how bad the environment was, one must persevere. Otherwise, it would be easy to lose oneself. We have been waiting for almost 2 hours. Let's call Mojave, Ning Shu said to Maidol. How long do we have to wait? Ning Shu suspected that Mojave had forgotten the agreement with Maidol. It completely showed that Maidol didn't have much weight in Mojave's heart. We can't just wait like this. Let's call. Your situation can't be delayed. We have to figure it out, Ning Shu said to Maidol. Maidol, who was sitting upright, seemed to have finally recovered from her trance. She quickly took out her mobile phone from her bag and called Mojave. When the phone was connected, Maydol didn't ask why Mojave didn't keep the appointment. Instead, she wanted Mojave to come quickly. She had something important to say. Ning Shu looked at the poor and humble Maydol and shook his head. Love was equal. Now, Maydol was like Mojave's accessory. What did the other party say? Ning Shu saw Maydol hang up the phone and immediately asked her. Maydol breathed a sigh of relief and said, he said he will come over later. Ning Shu said, oh, and yawned. It was almost midnight. If Maydol didn't call Mojave, Mojave probably wouldn't come back today. Half an hour later, there was finally the sound of a car at the door. Maydol, who was sitting on the sofa, jumped up from the sofa like a spring and quickly walked to the door. Then there was the sound of the door opening. Ning Shu saw that Maydol was setting up the slippers for Mojave at the entrance. Mojave walked in and put on the slippers. His movements were very natural. When he saw that there was another person in the living room, his eyes suddenly showed displeasure. Maydol had been with Mojave for a while. She could still understand some of Mojave's emotions. Obviously, Mojave was angry now. Maydol immediately explained, this is my agent. Because I have something to tell you today, I also called her. Mojave played with the car keys in his hand. He sat down and put his legs on the coffee table. It was such a wretched action, but Mojave looked unrestrained and cool. One of his long legs looked very sexy. Even Ning Shu had to admit that Mojave was really handsome. Looking at Maydol's attentive and admiring eyes towards Mojave, he knew that this man was very charming. Say it. What are you looking for me for? I have other things to do. Mojave said to Maydol. His eyes didn't even look at Ning Shu. Mojave saw that Maydol's face was very pale, but her lips were very red. In contrast, her skin was terrifyingly white. Her lips seemed to be painted with blood. This made Mojave frown slightly. He then looked away from her face and lowered his head to play with the key ring. He just didn't look at Maydol. Chapter 313. The atmosphere in the villa's living room was very gloomy. Mojave was playing with the keys in his hand, and Maydol was looking at Mojave with a conflicted expression. She looked like she wanted to say something, but she just couldn't open her mouth. Ning Shu acted like an invisible person at the side. In any case, no one said anything. Maydol's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. She looked at Ning Shu for help. Ning Shu shook his head. Maydol didn't need her to open her mouth. Maydol saw her manager shaking her head. She clenched her fists tightly, and her palms were sweating. She looked at Mojave's indifferent and noble appearance, but she just couldn't open her mouth. What's the matter? You called me over and didn't say anything. Since you don't want to say anything, I'll leave. Mojave put down his legs that were propped up on the coffee table. It was obvious that he was going to leave. Maydol hurriedly said, Don't go. Don't go. I have something to say. Mojave looked at Maydol. Maydol swallowed a mouthful of saliva. She looked at Mojave affectionately and said, I love you. Mojave, I really, really love you. Ning Shu just listened to Maydol's confession to Mojave. However, Mojave's face was expressionless. He then frowned and looked at Maydol. So. Mojave didn't take Maydol's confession to heart. There were too many women who loved him, but there was no one he loved. Maydol had to muster up a lot of courage to say these words. Mojave's indifferent attitude was no different from a sharp knife stabbing Maydol's heart. It made Maydol's face instantly turn ugly. Her brows were filled with despair. If you want to talk to me about this kind of thing, I don't want to hear it. You should know that I'm very busy. Also, don't bring other people to the house. I don't like it. Mojave stood up and walked towards the door. Don't go. Maydol let out a broken and sharp voice. She reached out and grabbed Mojave's arm. Tears flowed out of her eyes. Mojave, don't go. Mojave lowered his head and looked down at Maydol. He frowned and asked, Maydol, what do you want? You should know the consequences of making me angry. Maydol's tears flowed. She felt as if her stomach was churning. She wanted to vomit, but when she met Mojave's cold eyes, Maydol felt her entire body turn cold. She quickly cried out, Mojave, I'm pregnant. It's been a month. Mojave was stunned for a moment. He then shook off Maydol's hand that was grabbing his arm. He glanced at Ning Shu and said coldly to Maydol, so, you brought people here today to seek justice from me, or to force me to marry you? Maydol was at a loss for words. She felt as if she had fallen into icy water. Before she could say what she was thinking, Mojave stopped her. Mojave's words meant, don't even think about marrying me. Maydol's entire body went limp as she fell to the ground and cried. It was as if she had lost her soul. Ning Shu coughed and made his presence known, breaking the sorrowful atmosphere at the same time. Maydol and Mojave looked at Ning Shu at the same time. Ning Shu suddenly felt pressured. Just as he was about to speak, Mojave spoke first. You're Maydol's manager, right? Take your artist for surgery. I don't want this child. Ning Shu was speechless. What was she supposed to say? The child in Maydol's stomach is yours. You don't want it? Is this your child? Ning Shu said indifferently. She originally thought that Mojave would give Maydol a sum of money and leave Maydol to fend for herself. She didn't expect that Mojave would directly ask Maydol to abort the child. Not just any woman has the right to bear my child. Mojave said coldly. He then looked at Maydol, whose face was ashen. How did you get pregnant? Didn't you use protection after the surgery? This kind of aftermath should be handled by women. The fear of pregnancy, the uncertainty of the future, and Mojave's heartless questioning made Maydol so cold that her teeth were chattering. Maydol opened her mouth. Or are you saying that you want to use the child to climb up the social ladder and marry me? Maydol, I will never marry you. Mojave's expression was cold and his words were very heartless. Maydol shook her head frantically. I really didn't. Ning Shu was speechless. The two people who were supposed to be deeply in love had turned out like this. Moreover, Mojave's strange words made Ning Shu feel a deep sense of malice. What did he mean by, the aftermath should be handled by women? As if it was a woman's fault that she got pregnant. Mojave was the kind of person who loved someone so much that they would melt in his mouth and fall in his hands. If he didn't love someone, he was cold and ruthless. He was an extremely extreme person. He was simply a scumbag. President Mo, no matter what, this child is yours, Ning Shu said. Mojave glanced coldly at Ning Shu. Is this child mine? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Ning Shu, fuck. Mojave, is this child really yours? Am I that kind of person in your heart? You are my only man. Mojave, I beg you, please don't hurt our child, I beg you. Maydol sat on the ground, holding her stomach. Tears fell like rain as she begged Mojave. Mojave squatted down, reached out his hand and grabbed Maydol's chin. He looked at Maydol's face and said coldly, so, you want to give birth to the child? I won't marry you. I won't let an illegitimate child exist. Maydol's eyes reflected Mojave's cold expression. Maydol's entire body trembled. Why are you so cruel to me? Why? Because I don't like you. I thought you were a little interesting before, but I realized that you were no different from other women in the entertainment industry. Mojave let go of Maydol's chin, clapped his hands and said indifferently, if you want to talk about conditions, then talk about conditions. I don't like crying like this. Mojave then looked at Ning Shu. Since you're already here, you must have a purpose. Tell me, what do you want? Mojave, I don't want anything. I just want you to not hurt my child. Maydol shook her head desperately. Mojave rubbed his forehead. Stop, don't say any more. I don't have the patience to listen to these things. Tell me, what role do you want this time? I can give it to you. Maydol felt as if she had been struck by lightning. She felt that her dignity was being trampled on by Mojave over and over again. Ning Shu, why did it feel like the plot had changed so much? Didn't Mojave like to dote on Maydol a lot? Why didn't that seem to be the case? He was so cold, as if he was treating the supporting female lead. Was it because the current Maydol wasn't as pure and flawless as in the plot, so he didn't like her? Could it be that Mojave liked pure and beautiful women, no matter who they were? Chapter 314. When Maydol first entered the entertainment industry, she was pure and beautiful. Because she had a brief relationship with Mojave, the two fell in love. Mojave only loved women who were pure and ignorant. This woman could be Maydol, Li Duo, or even someone else. Now, my Duo, had changed. Her thoughts were complicated. Mo Juefeng was only interested in her for a while. The two of them were simply a sugar daddy and a lover. She would provide him with her body, and he would provide her with resources. It was that simple. Ning Shu felt that Mojave only loved a feeling. As long as the woman had such characteristics, he would fall in love with her. Because of the subtle changes in the plot, Maydol, who was supposed to be the female lead, was no longer the female lead. Because she was no longer pure and ignorant. What a sad story. Mojave seemed to be a little impatient with the crying Maydol. You can't keep this child. In 2 months, there will be a 200 million yuan second female lead role in a movie. This role is for you. Don't challenge my bottom line anymore. Mojave wrote another check for Maydol, placed it on the coffee table, and turned to walk towards the door. Maydol didn't even have the courage to stop Mojave. Her fingers clutched her clothes tightly, and her body trembled. After taking a few steps, Mojave stopped, turned around, and said to Maydol, by the way, there's one more thing. Maydol turned around stiffly and looked at Mojave with hope in her eyes. She hoped that Mojave would go back on his words. Mojave ignored Maydol's longing eyes and said viciously, Maydol, don't try to play any tricks. Otherwise, I'll make you beg for death. This child must be dealt with cleanly. Don't think about using the child to threaten me, and don't even think about giving birth to it. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can't stay in the entertainment industry. Ning Shu was speechless. Holy shit. After experiencing a few worlds, this was the first time she saw the male lead being so ruthless to the female lead. This was not liking. Without the male lead's love, Maydol's life would be worse than a cannon fodder, or even worse, so she had to rely on herself for everything. Relying on others, especially relying on men, was not reliable at all. A woman can live her own life. If a man doesn't dote on her, she must love herself even more. Maydol originally thought that Mojave was going to go back on his words and wanted her to stay. If Mojave had said a gentle word to her, she would have stayed by his side without hesitation. However, she didn't expect Mojave's words to be even more hurtful. Maydol watched Mojave leave with tears in her eyes. His back view was still as imposing as before, but it was also high and mighty. He was so high and mighty that Maydol felt that she would never cross paths with Mojave in this lifetime. The sound of the car starting up outside disappeared after a while. Clearly, Mojave had gone far away. Maydol stared straight at the door. In the end, she crawled on the ground and wailed loudly. Her voice was hoarse, and her shoulders were shaking. She looked extremely pitiful. Ning Shu glanced at the check on the coffee table. There were actually 7 zeros. More than 10 million yuan as a breakup fee. Adding on the second female lead in the production of the movie, the breakup fee was not low. Maydol, are you okay? Ning Shu cried until he was out of breath. Maydol asked. What was the use of crying like this? The other party was obviously just playing around, but Maidol wanted to be with him for life. My duo, did not even have the chance to voice her wishes. Mo Juefeng had cut off all her future paths. Either she obediently got rid of the child, and the second female lead in the movie would be hers. Moreover, there would be a breakup fee of 10 million yuan. If she wanted to give birth to the child, Mojave would definitely not be polite. What awaited Maidol would be a more tragic result. Now that things had developed to this point, the task was almost done. Moreover, the person who dealt with Maidol was the man she loved deeply. The pain of being deeply hurt by the person she loved was simply unparalleled. Maidol ignored Ning Shu. She sat up, cried and beat her stomach, and shouted, "It's all because of him. It's all because of him." Ning Shu was stunned for a moment. He grabbed Maidol's hand that was beating her stomach and asked coldly, "What are you doing? If I wasn't pregnant, Mojave wouldn't have abandoned me. If I hadn't run to Mojave and told him that I was pregnant, Mojave wouldn't be like this." Maidol beat her stomach with a lot of strength. Her stomach hurt all of a sudden. Maidol was scared and angry. She frowned in pain. Her face was twisted, and she kept muttering, "If I had aborted the child first and didn't let Mojave know, he wouldn't have been so angry and wanted to break up with me." Why? Ning Shu was speechless. Looking at the crazy Maidol, Ning Shu was speechless. Sometimes, the ugliness in human nature was really hard to look straight at. Ning Shu only felt that the woman in front of him was crazy. She could expand a little bit of dark emotions infinitely. She was a self-centered woman. If someone doted on her and let her live without restraint, she would naturally soak in a honey pot. However, if she suffered, she would feel that the whole world was hurting her. She would never consider the harm she brought to others. "Maidol, calm down." Ning Shu grabbed Maidol's wrist tightly and said coldly, "Sober up." Maidol stared blankly at Ning Shu. She pushed Ning Shu away and bitterly shouted at Ning Shu, "It's all because of you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be like this." Maidol stood up and ran to the door. After taking a few steps, she held her stomach and cried out, "It hurts. My stomach hurts." Maidol supported herself against the wall and held her stomach with one hand. She felt a warm current flowing through her lower body and out along her thigh. "Sister Chen, my stomach hurts," Maidol shouted at Ning Shu with a pale face. When Ning Shu saw Maidol's blood flowing down her leg, he knew what was going on. Ning Shu sighed and mobilized the small amount of qi in his body. He directly carried Maidol in a princess carry and put her in the car to go to the hospital. Maidol held her stomach and was in so much pain that her head was covered in cold sweat. The hair on her temples was wet and she let out a small painful moan. Ning Shu sped up and rushed to the hospital. Immediately, a nurse pushed a bed over. Ning Shu put Maidol on the bed and shook his numb arm. Maidol was pushed into the operating room. Ning Shu waited outside. Ning Shu didn't sympathize with Maidol at all. She was looking for trouble. She didn't take any measures. She knew that she was pregnant, but she still hammered her stomach. If she wasn't looking for trouble, then what was? It was already early in the morning. Ning Shu was so sleepy that he almost fell asleep sitting on the chair in the corridor. When the door of the operating room opened, Ning Shu immediately asked, "Doctor, how is the patient?" "She's fine. She was injected with flavonoids. It's best to stay in the hospital for observation," the doctor said. Ning Shu immediately said, "Thank you, doctor." Chapter 315. The unconscious Maidol was pushed out of the operating room. Her face was so pale that it was almost transparent. There was no color on her lips at all. Ning Shu followed them into the ward and stayed beside the unconscious Maidol. He was really tired, so he lay on the bed and took a nap. When he woke up again, it was already dawn. Ning Shu opened his eyes and saw that Maidol was already awake. At this moment, she was staring at the ceiling in a daze. Ning Shu asked, "When did you wake up?" Maidol turned her head and looked at Ning Shu blankly. Her eyes were dim and she was completely lifeless. Ning Shu asked weakly, "Do I look very ugly now?" Ning Shu, shouldn't she be asking about the child now? A pregnant person can't be said to be very good-looking. Ning Shu stood up and stretched his body. "You have to be hospitalized for a while. The doctor said that your body is very weak." Maidol quickly asked, "Is my child gone?" "Yes." Ning Shu didn't know if it was an illusion, but Ning Shu actually saw a trace of disappointment in Maidol's eyes. Was Maidol disappointed that the child was still alive? Ning Shu said again, "You have to rest well these days. The doctor said that you can't work too hard, and you can't be too emotional." But I still have to film." Maidol frowned tightly, looking very anxious. Ning Shu raised his eyebrows. "If you still want to film in this state, your body won't be able to take it. You are already showing signs of a miscarriage. Filming is so tiring, and you will bleed like today. If others see it, it will arouse suspicion. But I am the female lead of that film. It is the first time in my life that I am the female lead. I am really." Maidol became angrier and angrier as she spoke. Her face became paler and more aggrieved and twisted. "My stomach hurts. It hurts so much." My duo clutched her stomach. Ning Shu, he simply didn't know what to say. Ning Shu hurriedly called the doctor. The doctor hurriedly gave Maidol an injection. Maidol was in so much pain that her face was covered with cold sweat and she groaned. Maidol bit her lips tightly and said with difficulty, "I don't want this child anymore. Take the child for me." "This." The doctor looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at Maidol and asked, "Have you thought about it?" Maidol bit her bloodless lips. Ning Shu nodded, then took a deep breath and said, "I don't want this child." Ning Shu frowned. "Have you really thought it through? Other than this path, is there any other path I can take?" Maidol's body trembled as she spoke, tears streaming down her face. "I simply have no other path to take." "Sign it," the doctor said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu waved his hand. "I'm not her relative. Let her sign it herself." Maidol endured the pain and signed the document. Then, she shouted as if she was about to break down, "Hurry up and get rid of this child for me. It hurts so much." The nurse pushed the bed to the operating room. Ning Shu stood at the door of the operating room, watching the operating room light on. About an hour later, Maidol was pushed out. Her face was as white as paper, and she lay lifelessly on the bed. She looked particularly pitiful. Ning Shu looked at Maidol's stomach. The little life inside was already gone. He just didn't expect Maidol to be so determined not to have this child. Mo Guofeng did not want to let a random woman have his child. My duo, was also one of those women. Mo Guofeng did not want a random woman to have his child. My duo, was also a random woman. Mo Guofeng did not want a random woman to have his child. After the anesthesia wore off, Maidol slowly woke up. As soon as she woke up, before she could say anything, tears fell down her face. She seemed very sad. Ning Shu handed the check to Maidol and said, "This is the check from Mojave." Maidol weakly raised her hand to take the check. She wanted to tear it up, but in the end, she didn't. Maidol looked at Ning Shu. Her eyes were red, and she said with resentment, "I suffered so much just for $10 million and a roll. I lost my child. My child is gone." Ning Shu, so annoying, so impatient, she signed to abort the child. Looking at her now, it really made him feel bad. Now, was she going to express her sadness and guilt for this child? Ning Shu saw Maidol's sad expression, but his heart didn't waver. he even wanted to laugh. The Maydol now was really different. She was no longer that pure and noble woman. If it was the Maydol of the past, she wouldn't have said that she only received $10 million and a role. She was a person who valued her dignity more than her life. Rest well. People have to look forward, Ning Shu said calmly. Maydol looked at Ning Shu and bit her lip. Finally, she said, Sister Chen, you shouldn't have brought me to Mojave. If you had dealt with it in private, Mojave wouldn't have left me like this and abandoned me. Ning Shu, so, now you're blaming me? Ning Shu said calmly, if you wanted to abort the child in advance, you should have told me directly. I wouldn't have brought you to the villa. At that time, Maydol only had a little hope in her heart. She felt that if she had a child, she would be able to have a happy ending with Mojave. However, she didn't expect Mojave to be so heartless. Now, Maydol regretted telling Mojave about her pregnancy. That way, she wouldn't have broken up with Mojave. She wanted all the benefits. It was simply too much. She felt that she really had a hard time being a manager. She had worked hard for an entire night, but the other party didn't even thank her. Instead, they blamed her. She couldn't figure out why felt that it was only right. Ning Shu said calmly, if you feel that this matter is my fault, I have nothing to say. As for the matter between you and Mojave, I have never interfered. Take good care of your body. You still have a show to film. Seeing her manager being so cold, Maydol felt very wronged. She felt that her life was really terrible. She was abandoned by her lover and lost her child. Now, her manager saw that she had no backing and was bullying her. Sister Chen, do you think that because I broke up with Mojave, you look down on me? Maydol asked Ning Shu with red eyes. Ning Shu, what kind of logic was that? Could it be that Maydol thought that because she had Mojave, everyone in the world should curry favor with her? Now that Mojave was gone, everyone in the world despised her. It felt like Maydol had developed a dependency on Mojave. Even if Mojave didn't treat Maydol well, Maydol couldn't leave Mojave. Maydol felt dizzy and her stomach hurt. It hurt so much that Maydol wanted to cry. As long as she thought of Mojave, Maydol's bones hurt. Chapter 316. The most important thing was that Maydol was used to having Mojave around. As long as Mojave was there, the road ahead of her was smooth. With Mojave standing behind her, her heart was filled with a sense of security. However, Mojave broke up with her. Maydol was very afraid. She was afraid that she would return to her previous life. No matter how simple a matter was, because of Mojave, it became difficult. Maydol was used to having Mojave solve all her problems for her. It made her feel unprecedentedly carefree. Maydol was terrified just by imagining that she had to endure hardships to play a minor role and look at other people's faces. She didn't want to leave Mojave, not only because she fell in love with Mojave, but also because of Mojave's powerful strength. Thinking about her future, Maydol couldn't help but cry. Why did things develop to this point? Maydol regretted telling Mojave about her pregnancy. She had an abortion in private. After resting for a while, she could still stay by Mojave's side. But now, she didn't even have the qualifications to stay by Mojave's side. Ning Shu looked at Maydol wailing and ignored her. He went to do the discharge procedures for her and then took her back to the apartment to recuperate. When she was discharged, Maydol was unwilling. She felt that her agent was stingy. He didn't even want to pay for the hospitalization fee. Ning Shu looked at Maydol's expression and knew what she was thinking. There are many people in the hospital. Do you want others to know that you had an abortion? You are a little famous now. Do you think it's good to have a scandal? Ning Shu said coldly. Maydol was speechless. She bit her lips and covered herself with the blanket. She tilted her head and looked out of the window. Ning Shu was too lazy to pay attention to her. When they arrived at the apartment, Maydol went back to the bedroom to rest. Ning Shu saw that Maydol had really hurt her body this time. What was the use of not taking care of her own body? The director of the film crew called and asked Maydol to film. Ning Shu made up an excuse that he had a bad cold and couldn't get out of bed. He said that he would film in a few days. Mo Juefeng was the one who had invested in this movie. He had specially asked my duo, to be the female lead. Now that my duo, was in poor health, he could only give up. The entire crew was waiting for my duo, to go back to work. To Ning Shu's surprise, Maydol went back to work after a week of rest. When she left the apartment, her face was still pale. Why don't you rest for a few more days? Your body doesn't look very good. Ning Shu said to Maydol. Why did she work so hard? If she didn't have a good body, everything was useless. Moreover, filming was a very difficult thing. Ning Shu just wanted to remind Maydol, but he didn't expect Maydol to shout at him, I have been abandoned by Mojave. I am no longer Mojave's woman. If I don't film this movie, do you want Mojave to replace me? Ning Shu, if she wanted to go, then go. Ning Shu shrugged. Anyway, it wasn't her body that was ruined. Moreover, Maydol's temper was really bad. She probably suffered a blow. Ning Shu took Maydol to film. When they arrived at the set, Mojave was there. When Maydol, who was sitting in the car, saw Mojave, she burst into tears. During this period, Mojave didn't come to see her. Mojave didn't come to the hospital to see her when she had an operation. She was in great pain, but Mojave didn't ask her at all. The most painful thing for Maydol was that there was a girl standing beside Mojave. Mojave looked at her very gently. Ning Shu also saw the woman beside Mojave. This woman was simply a replica of Maydol. She was very pure and had a very pure temperament. Seeing this scene, Ning Shu confirmed his thoughts once again. Mojave liked this kind of woman, no matter who she was. Maydol wiped her tears and took out her makeup bag to touch up her makeup. She tried to make herself look better. Maydol's hands were trembling as she put on makeup. Tears were about to flow out. Maydol raised her head and forced her tears back. Then, she put on the Toad sunglasses and opened the car door to go over. Ning Shu watched as Maydol walked over to Mojave flirtatiously and shook his head. Wouldn't she be asking for humiliation if she went over now? Moreover, Mojave seemed to have found his true love. He didn't know what Mojave said to Maydol, but Maydol's body staggered twice. She seemed to be very sad and went to the changing room weakly. Ning Shu got out of the car and saw that Mojave's gaze was fixed on him. He felt a little strange. Why are you looking at me? Then, Mojave actually walked over to Ning Shu. Ning Shu asked, did Maydol abort the child? Ning Shu nodded. Mojave's gaze turned ugly and his expression was very strange. Ning Shu looked at Mojave's expression. Could it be that he couldn't bear to part with the child? Since he couldn't bear to part with the child, he should have told Maydol. He waited until the child was gone and now he was asking about the child. She is indeed a vicious and merciless woman. She can do anything for the sake of being in a position of power. Mojave sneered, his brows filled with disgust. Ning Shu was speechless. He felt that she was really crazy. On one hand, he threatened Maydol that she couldn't keep the child. If she kept the child, she would be unlucky. When Maydol really aborted the child, Mojave felt that Maydol was a person who could sacrifice her child for money and for the sake of being in a position of power. In short, he didn't love you. You were full of flaws. Everything you did was wrong. Your existence was a mistake. Ning Shu didn't expect that he would actually break up a pair of true love. No, to be precise, Maydol no longer had what Mojave liked. On the other hand, under such difficult conditions, Maydol's heart was impetuous. She didn't want to be looked down upon. When facing Mojave, she was no longer as confident as she was in the storyline. She tried to please Mojave everywhere. Mojave had too many people trying to please him. He was very uninterested in such a flattering attitude. He liked women who were not afraid of him and could throw tantrums at him, act coquettishly, and be pure and beautiful. Ning Shu felt that this girl was asking for a beating. She was crazy. Because Mojave was beside her, Maydol's filming condition was not very good. In addition, she was not feeling well and kept doing bad takes. The more she did bad takes, the more irritated Maydol became. What had happened recently was simply too much for her to bear. Why was she so miserable? Maydol felt that everyone was happier than her. Ning Shu saw Maydol like this and felt that Maydol's acting skills had not made any breakthrough. Moreover, now that Mojave didn't intend to flatter Maydol anymore, what welcomed Maydol was an even more cruel reality. It was not easy to finish filming today's scenes. Maydol's face was terribly pale. She held her stomach and dragged her tired body into the car. Chapter 317. Maydol, who got into the car, held her stomach and looked very uncomfortable. However, her eyes were always on Mojave. Seeing that Mojave had been chatting with a girl and the smile on his face made Maydol very sad and jealous. Is that girl Mojave's new lover? Maydol seemed to be asking Ning Shu. Ning Shu narrowed his eyes and said, should be. Maydol's face became even uglier. Ning Shu drove back to the dormitory. Maydol washed up and went back to the bedroom to rest. She didn't even eat dinner. It seemed that she was really tired. It was estimated that this mission would be over soon. Now Maydol had no love and no career. To be honest, now Maydol's acting was so bad that Ning Shu couldn't watch it anymore. Perhaps it was because there were too many troublesome things, or perhaps it was because had spent too much time on pleasing Mojufeng. Therefore, Er's acting skills did not improve at all. The next day, Maydol woke up very early. She casually ate something and asked Ning Shu to take her to the set. Ning Shu saw that Maydol's face was worse than yesterday after resting for a night. He asked, can you bear it? Maydol glanced at Ning Shu and said coldly, even if I can't bear it, you still have to let me go. If I don't go, how can the company make money? How can you achieve results? Do you really care about my health? What's more, I have to continue acting. Am I supposed to just watch that vixen steal my man and steal my role? Ning Shu was speechless. Well, now Maydol was full of resentment. Just a casual word from others could make her vent her dissatisfaction. Ning Shu didn't say anything and drove Maydol to the set. Today, Mojave was still there. Seeing Mojave, Maydol's heart ached. In the past, Mojave was there for her. Now, Mojave was there for another woman. Maydol's heart ached. Every time Ning Shu saw Maydol's pained expression, as if she had suffered the greatest pain in the world, he felt very annoyed. Some things didn't need to be so concerned. Since it was all in the past, he should let it go. What was the point of being tangled up? Didn't Maydol realize that her situation was already very difficult? Instead of being so sad and hurting her lungs, it was better to work for her future. One's character determined one's fate. Fortunately, there was Mojave in the plot. Mojave solved everything for her. Maydol didn't suffer at all. Under Mojave's pampering, many of her characters weren't exposed. Now, Maydol exposed a lot of her character, ego, extreme ego. Maydol endured the sadness in her heart. However, in the process of acting, Maydol and Mojave's new lover had a conflict. When the two of them were acting, Maydol looked at the woman's face close at hand. A rush of blood rushed to her head. Without thinking, she slapped the woman twice. Maydol was satisfied with slapping the woman, but then she was kicked to the ground by Mojave. Moreover, he kicked her in the stomach. Maydol clutched her stomach. She felt that her body had suffered a severe injury. A sharp tearing pain directly made her faint. Mojave ignored Maydol, who fainted on the ground. Instead, he enveloped the woman in his arms and gently comforted her. Ning Shu was speechless. Damn! Ning Shu hurried over to carry Maydol, stuffed her into the car, and drove to the hospital. Ning Shu looked down and saw that there was blood on his hand. Maydol's pants were soaked with blood. What was going on? It looked like a miscarriage. However, Maydol had already had an abortion some time ago. Ning Shu casually wiped the blood on his hand with a tissue and sped to the hospital. As soon as they arrived at the hospital, Maydol was sent to the operating room. Ning Shu looked at the red operating light and was really speechless. Ning Shu had never seen someone who was so good at courting death. A lot of Maydol's suffering was self-inflicted. The door of the operating room opened and a nurse came out. Ning Shu asked the nurse, "What's the situation now?" "The patient's uterus is ruptured and she's lost a lot of blood. I'm going to the blood bank to get some blood now." The nurse hurried off. Ning Shu was speechless. Her uterus was ruptured. Could it be that Mojave's kick had ruptured her uterus? Damn, the speed of development was simply too fast for Ning Shu to keep up. Suddenly, Mojave and Maydol became great enemies. Moreover, Mojave hated Maydol to the core. Maydol was the female lead. The speed of her defeat was simply like a falling elevator. Could it be because Maydol had an abortion? In short, he couldn't figure it out. The operation went on for a long time. It was almost 3 hours before they came out. When Maydol came out, her face was so pale that Ning Shu thought Maydol was dead. The patient just had an artificial abortion some time ago. Her recovery isn't very good. There's some infection in her uterus, but with a strong blow, her uterus ruptured. She may not be able to have children in the future. The doctor shook his head and said. Ning Shu was a little confused, but he immediately thanked the doctor. Ning Shu frowned tightly. He felt that something was not right. The development of the situation was too strange. When Maydol woke up, she looked as if the sky had collapsed. She was obviously sad and desperate after being treated like that by Mojave. Ning Shu hadn't told Maydol about her physical condition yet. If she knew, she would probably be even more sad and desperate. Maydol learned from the doctor that she couldn't have children. Then her whole body froze. She didn't come back to her senses for a long time. In the end, she cried out heartbreakingly. Why? Maydol grabbed her hair with both hands and shouted hysterically, "Why did Mojave treat me like this? Why?" Ning Shu wanted to cover his ears. Was it interesting to mention Mojave at this time? Her body was so broken. She didn't take care of her body and still thought about such a sad thing. Ning Shu really couldn't understand. There was really no way to understand. Maydol was too emotional. The doctor directly gave Maydol a tranquilizer. Only then did Maydol calm down and have a good rest. Ning Shu looked at Maydol's pale face. Was she really so sad? As a bystander, Ning Shu didn't feel that the feelings were lingering. Did she need to scream hysterically? From the beginning to the end, Ning Shu only saw that Maydol was sad, very sad, very sad. Mojave couldn't see why she was so sad. She was ruining her own body. When Maydol was still in the hospital, the director directly called to tell Gu Maydol that her role as the first female lead had been removed by someone above. The person above must be Mojave. Mojave was the production producer. If he wanted to change, he could change. At worst, he could film from the beginning again. He had the money to do whatever he wanted. When Mai received the call, she was dumbfounded. Then, she smashed the phone and buried her head in the ground, crying. Chapter 318. Maydol's role as the female lead was gone. Ning Shu didn't expect Mojave to remove Maydol's role so easily. Clearly, it was because Maydol hit his new lover. However, Ning Shu still felt that the relationship between my duo, and Mojufeng was too strange. After all, in the plot, the two of them were sweet and loving. How did it become like this? Some ties couldn't be cut off. However, Mojave hated Maydol so much now. Could it be that Mojave had fallen in love with his new lover? Things were developing a little strangely. Ning Shu looked at Maydol, who was crying so hard that she couldn't catch her breath. Her shoulders were shaking, and he really had the urge to seal her mouth. Why was she torturing herself like this? Her body was clearly unable to bear the burden, yet she was still in such heart-wrenching pain as if she couldn't live on. Maydol held her stomach as she cried. She felt that her lower body was bleeding again. Maydol started to panic. Ning Shu shouted, "Sister Chen, my stomach hurts. It hurts so much." It was as if it was being torn apart. Ning Shu was speechless. Ning Shu suddenly felt a little dispirited. There was no meaning at all. She could only seek death by herself. Could she be more stable? If she really wanted to die, she wouldn't dare. She was just torturing herself in bits and pieces. Was it so painful without Mojave? Ning Shu called the doctor over. The doctor said that Maydol's wound had opened up, and now she had to undergo surgery again. Ning Shu was speechless. What the fuck? Sorry to trouble you, doctor. Ning Shu waved his hand weakly. Then, he waited at the door of the operating room. This was the first time Ning Shu had seen a female lead who could seek death in such a way. She didn't take her body seriously at all. When Maydol came out of the operating room again, there was a sense of death between her eyebrows. She looked extremely haggard. The patient needs to stay in bed and rest. She cannot get up and walk around. If the wound worsens, we can only remove the entire uterus. The doctor warned Ning Shu seriously. Ning Shu was speechless. Thank you, doctor. I got it. Ning Shu nodded quickly. When Maydol woke up, Ning Shu immediately told Maydol how serious the situation was. She couldn't get out of bed and walk around, and she couldn't be too emotional. Maydol wept silently as she looked at Ning Shu with a pair of wooden eyes. She said in a light tone, "Since I no longer have the ability to reproduce, what's the difference between having a uterus and not having one?" Fuck. Ning Shu hammered his chest. He suddenly felt very stifled. He also felt stifled for the original owner of this body. Because of such a person, he lost his life. Maydol was a heartless person. If she was like this to herself, there was no way she would be like this to others. She treated love as everything. Even if she hurt others, she didn't know. Under Mojave's pampering, she was a little woman who was immersed in happiness. Things in the outside world couldn't hurt her. However, the current Maydol, if the outside world hurt a little, she would expand the hurt infinitely. Then, she would add on to herself, as if she was torturing herself. She was really a tragic female lead. In Ning Shu's opinion, she was completely crazy. Maydol wept silently. She was probably afraid that she didn't have a uterus, so she didn't dare to be too emotional. Ning Shu poured water for Maydol and placed it on the bedside. Maydol stared straight at Ning Shu and asked, "Sister Chen, why am I in so much pain?" Ning Shu wanted to say that she was asking for it. However, after considering Maydol's current situation, she lightly said, "Don't think about anything else. Let's talk about it after you recover." Maydol didn't say anything. She was really crying. Ning Shu felt very annoyed. Every day, he had to face a person who cried the moment she woke up. His mood was really depressed. Dong dong dong. At this time, the door of the ward rang. Ning Shu turned her head and saw a girl in a white dress walk in. She was holding a bouquet of lilies in her hands, which made her pure white face look even more pure and beautiful. Ning Shu's expression was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Mojave's new love would actually come to see Maydol. Maidol, are you okay? Chiu Xan placed the bouquet on the bedside and innocently asked Maidol. Maidol looked at this woman, and her eyes instantly turned red. She looked at Chiu Xan with bloodshot eyes. Because of this woman, her first female lead role was gone. Mojave was gone. Her child was gone. She didn't even have the ability to give birth. Are you here to mock me? Maidol sat up. Her stomach suddenly hurt. She pointed at the door and shouted emotionally, "Get out. I don't want to see you. I don't want to see you." Chiu Xan expressionlessly looked at Maidol. You're really in a sorry state. The one that Mojave loves now is me, not you. Get out, get out. Maidol threw the bouquet of flowers that Chiu Xan had brought over at Chiu Xan. Chiu Xan didn't dodge. She let the bouquet hit her. I came to see you with good intentions, and you're actually like this. Maidol was so angry that she cried. All kinds of painful things were suppressed in her heart. After being ridiculed by Chiu Xan, Maidol felt that her heart was about to explode. She couldn't wait to drag this woman in front of her down to hell with her. Ning Shu called the doctor over early in the morning. As soon as the doctor came in, he first gave Maidol a sedative. After a while, Maidol finally calmed down. What's with the sedative? It's not like she's crazy. Chiu Xan looked at Maidol lying on the bed and smiled faintly. She turned to look at Ning Shu and said, I have something to tell you. Tell me. I don't know you. Ning Shu frowned. She felt that there was something wrong with Mojave's new pet. Chiu Xan walked in front of Ning Shu. Seeing her vigilant look, she moved closer to Ning Shu's ear and said, I'm the same kind of person as you. Don't quibble. I've already recognized you. The same kind of person, mission enforcer. Ning Shu's heart suddenly jumped. This was the first time she met another mission enforcer during a mission. Chiu Xan took the lead and left the ward. Ning Shu thought for a moment and followed her out of the ward. Chiu Xan stood there and waited for Ning Shu to come over. You must be a newbie because I've never seen a mission enforcer like you. Chiu Xan crossed her arms and said to Ning Shu. Ning Shu looked at Chiu Xan. Up close, Chiu Xan was breathtakingly beautiful. Her skin showed a kind of transparent white under the sunlight. At first glance, she was pleasing to the eye, but the longer he looked at her, the more he felt that she was incomparably beautiful. There was a kind of beauty that could melt one's bones. Ning Shu shook her head and denied, I don't know what you're talking about. Ning Shu didn't want to admit that she was a mission enforcer. It was a kind of instinct. Chiu Xan smiled at Maidol, you don't have to guard against me at all. My goal is the same as yours, which is to deal with Maidol. Previously, I felt that something was wrong with you. Originally, I thought you were reborn and came back to take revenge on Maidol. However, I found that you didn't hate Maidol, so I suspected that you were a mission enforcer. Chapter 319. Ning Shu didn't think that there would be such a person paying attention to her. Clearly, she had already recognized her. This was the first time she had met a quest enforcer. Ning Shu's heart was more alert than happy. She didn't feel the joy of meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Chiu Xan looked at Ning Shu and said, my body offered its soul in order to obtain Mojave. Oh. Ning Shu raised her eyebrows and looked at Chiu Xan. She suddenly understood. She had been wondering why the relationship between Mojave and Maidol was so bad. Clearly, this quest enforcer was causing problems for the true love between Maidol and Mojave. Ning Shu suddenly asked, you were with Mojave on the night of the banquet? Of course. Replacing the female lead and being together with the male lead was the best time to capture the male lead. But I didn't think that Maidol wouldn't even come. Chiu Xan flipped her hair. Ning Shu smiled. Her smile was pure and beautiful under the refraction of the sun. It seemed even purer and more beautiful than Maydol's. She was like an angel that had fallen to earth. Ning Shu felt that even a woman like herself was about to be captivated by her. How great was her charm! Capture the male lead? Ning Shu seemed to be a little confused. Of course. Chiu Xian reached out her hand to pat Ning Shu's shoulder. But Ning Shu took a step back, causing Chiu Xian's hand to awkwardly stop in the air. Chiu Xian didn't care and retracted her hand. There's nothing more heartbreaking for the female lead than stealing her man and taking everything from her. Besides, I like this kind of quest. As long as I capture a strong man, my quest will go smoothly. Chiu Xian said with a smile. Ning Shu said, oh. Both of their goals were Maydol. Now that Maydol was like this, it was the result of both sides. What if this man falls in love with you? Ning Shu asked. Chiu Xian said casually, I'm a mission enforcer. Everything I do is to complete the mission. If the mission enforcer falls in love with me, he can't stop me. Ning Shu was speechless. Once the mission was completed, Chiu Xian would leave this world. Then, what would happen to the man who fell in love with her? The mission giver and the mission giver were completely different people. He didn't even know who the person he loved deeply was. How sad was that? However, everyone had their own way of living. Quest enforcers also had their own way of completing missions. In any case, Ning Shu would never do something like that. He would painstakingly make someone fall in love with him and then use that person to complete missions for him. Ning Shu felt that it would be better to use his fists. It would save him time and effort, and he wouldn't have to bear a debt of love. Be careful of playing with fire, Ning Shu said again. Was it your idea that Maydol became like this? I like to hit the nail on the head when I do things. Your style of doing things disgusts me. Bringing Maydol to auditions and acting like this, I really don't know if you're helping her or not. You have to know that the more miserable the female lead is, the more points we get. Just like how Ning Shu didn't like Chiu Xian also didn't like Ning Shu. Chiu Xian said with some sarcasm, look at you. You really think of yourself as her manager. You're just like a nanny. Ning Shu didn't say anything. Did she have to publicly deal with Maydol? She couldn't brazenly do something that would harm the artists under her company. Moreover, she had to protect the original owner's job. The original owner, Chen Shi, had been blacklisted by Mo Juefeng and no company in the entertainment industry wanted her. She had lost her job and could no longer be a manager, so she was furious and wanted to take revenge on my duo, That was why she revealed that my duo, had been kept as a mistress. In the end, she was raped and killed by gangsters. So this job was very important to the original owner. All the tragedies started from the loss of her job. Could it be that she completed the task unscrupulously? But when the original owner came back, she still lost her job. The soul she sacrificed was in vain. So Ning Shu had been doing this job dutifully, even if she was in a mess. Ning Shu didn't take Chiu Xian's sarcasm to heart. Right, you said that the more miserable the female lead is, the more points we get? Ning Shu asked Chiu Xian. Of course, the clients are all people who have been hurt by the protagonist. The more miserable the protagonist is, the higher our points will be. Chiu Xian said with a smile, revealing her white teeth. Ning Shu frowned and said, but if things are done too much, the protagonist will have resentment and unwillingness. What if she offers her soul to counterattack? Ning Shu once saw at the edge of the La Xia plain that was full of holes and was about to be destroyed. The resentment produced by the cannon fodder was harmful to the law of heaven. Then the protagonist with luck would be even more harmful to the law of heaven. If everyone had a little grievance and offered their soul to counterattack, wouldn't the world be in chaos? Doing this will also harm the plane. Ning Shu said Chiu Xian. Ha 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 ha. Chiu Xian laughed until she bent over. She held her stomach with one hand and pointed at Ning Shu with one finger. She laughed until tears splashed out, making Ning Shu feel inexplicable. What are you laughing at? Ning Shu frowned and asked unhappily. Did she say something funny? She was just saying what she understood. What the hell are you laughing at? Chiu Xian wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes and said lightly, You are really a saint. I'm a saint. Ning Shu pointed at his nose and asked in surprise, How am I a saint? We are just mission enforcers who are in a precarious situation. Even if there is an accident during the mission, we will completely disappear. You actually want to save the plane, save the world. Aren't you a saint? We are mission enforcers. We just need to complete the mission. As for other things, we don't need to care at all. Chiu Xian said sarcastically to Ning Shu, mission enforcers like you can't go far. Bye-bye. If Chiu Xian was still a little interested in Ning Shu before, she had completely lost interest now. He was just a mission enforcer with nothing to do. There was no need to care at all. Ning Shu looked at Chiu Xian's back and asked 2333 in his heart, Isn't what we are doing to repair the plane? That's right. Ning Shu, you don't need to care. Your realm is much higher than hers. Maybe it's because you have been to the Sea of Law. Those planes are the same as humans. When they are sick, they can't repair their laws through self-healing, so they need treatment. People who don't have a long-term vision won't go far. 2333 comforted Ning Shu. Ning Shu shrugged. He didn't care what others thought. If things go too far, will others also sacrifice their souls to counterattack? If there's another counterattack, then what I've done for Qin Shi will be overturned. Ning Shu was very doubtful. Since innocent Ken and Fodder could sacrifice their souls to counterattack, then the protagonist could do the same. Chapter 320. The Cycle of the Heavens and the Entanglement of Karma. Not everyone has the opportunity to counterattack. These missions are all filtered. For example, there is a problem with the laws of your world. There is a problem with Mojave's ability. In the whole world, it is as if Mojave is the strongest. Too much luck is concentrated on Mojave. It is a very abnormal law. 2333 Ning Shu explained, that is why Qin Shi's mission was accepted. Ning Shu nodded and let out a sigh of relief. When he returned to the ward, he saw that Maidol was sleeping. Her face was as white as a sheet of paper. Ning Shu was waiting for Maidol to wake up. Ning Shu felt that if Maidol's emotions were to go on like this, she would probably go crazy. From a certain point of view, Maidol was trapped in her own sad world. Ning Shu didn't know why Maidol was torturing herself like this. It made his face bleed. Or did she want to hurt herself in this way to attract others' attention and make Mojave feel sorry for her? There was a hole in her brain. She didn't even care for herself and expected others to love her. When Maidol woke up, Ning Shu directly gave the final notice, if you continue to be willful, I can only tell the company about your situation. When the time comes, you will only be terminated by the company. Maidol bit her lips tightly and said, Sister Chen, didn't you see that woman coming in front of me to show off? She did it on purpose. She did it on purpose to provoke me. God damn annoying. Since you know that she did it on purpose, you should calm down. Don't let her get away with it. Rest well and take care of your body. Ning Shu always felt that the company would terminate Maidol's contract with the company sooner or later. Things happened every few days. Moreover, she was an artist who didn't earn money. She was completely worthless. But what Ning Shu didn't expect was that not long after, the news of Maidol being someone's mistress broke out on the internet. There were pictures to prove the truth, but the picture of Mojave in the pictures was blurred. However, according to the information, it was clear that this was Mojave. When he saw the news, Ning Shu's first reaction was that Chiu Xian did it. There were many pictures. Obviously, it had been planned for a long time. Ning Shu had this thought before. But when he saw that Maidol was already very miserable, he couldn't get up, and most importantly, Maidol had the ability to make himself even more miserable. Before he could do anything, Chiu Xian exploded. As expected, she was a mission enforcer who would hit the target with one hit. Her style of doing things was incomparably fierce. Compared to Chiu Xian, Ning Shu felt that he was a trashy mission enforcer. Maidol looked at the news and the news of her abortion. It was very real. Her face turned pale. There was only one feeling in her heart. She was finished. Maidol suddenly looked at Ning Shu. Ning Shu questioned, Sister Chen, did you do this? Only you know these things. Ning Shu was speechless. I don't know. During the time you were hospitalized, I was always by your side. Besides, other than me knowing that you are Mojave's woman, Mojave's new lover also knows about your situation. You are an artist under me. Why would I do something so harmful? Do you think that if you were to have a scandal, it would look good on me and the company? It must be her. It must be that daughter. She must have done it. Maidol wailed. In order to steal Mojave, she painstakingly went against me. Sister Chen, Sister Chen. My duo, grabbed Ning Su's hand tightly and begged, Sister Chen, please help me. You're the only one who can help me now. I've lost my first female lead role and now that woman has done this, I'll lose my second female lead role too. That role was promised to me by Mo Juefeng. It must be that woman who wants to steal my role. Sister Chen, please help me, I beg you. Sister Chen, please help me. Ning Shu's face was stiff. Before things were clear, she blamed others without thinking. Now, she wanted her to help. To be honest, Ning Shu hated Maidol's character the most. It was as if everything she did for her was natural. Ning Shu just nodded. Suddenly, many reporters squeezed in from the door. These reporters surrounded the bed and put their microphones in front of the pale Maidol. Their voices were like cannonballs hitting Maidol. Maidol, are you Mojave's mistress? I heard that you sold your body for the role of the first female lead. Mojave gave it to you. Are you hospitalized because you had an abortion? Countless vicious words were thrown at Maidol like waves. Maidol broke down and shouted, No, I'm not Mojave's mistress. I didn't have an abortion. I'm just sick. I'm not a mistress. I heard that you often go in and out of the mansion in Qingshui Park. That mansion belongs to Mojave. How long have you been together? And Mojave doesn't want this child. If you abort the child, you can get the breakup fee and the role. Isn't that right? All the reporters were chattering in Maidol's ears. Maidol hugged her head. Nonsense. I didn't. I'm not a mistress. I didn't have an abortion. I'm sorry, my artist is sick. Please leave. This is a hospital. Ning Shu chased the reporters out. It took her a lot of effort to get rid of them. Ning Shu returned to the ward and found Maidol covering her head with the blanket. Her body was trembling. Ning Shu wanted to say a few words to Maidol, but she received a call from the company. Ning Shu shook her head. She and my duo, were on opposing sides. She had also benefited from what Chiu Xian had done. Ning Shu took her bag and was about to leave. Maidol lifted the blanket. Seeing that Ning Shu was about to leave, she asked sharply, Where are you going? Ning Shu frowned and said, I'm going to the company. Something like this has happened. The company needs an explanation. Suddenly, my duo, said to Ning Shu in a fawning manner, Sister Chen, can you help me ask the company to do a crisis PR and hold a press conference for me? Sister Chen, I still want to act. I can earn a lot of money for the company. Maidol's ability to cause trouble was greater than her ability to make money. Ning Shu said lightly, I'll try my best. Maidol nodded. Ning Shu said, Sister Chen, I'll wait for you to come back. Ning Shu arrived at the company and was directly criticized by the boss. The boss wanted to terminate Maydol's contract. The company didn't even want to hold a press conference for this kind of artist. They directly gave up on Maydol. Ning Shu held the termination contract in her hand. Fortunately, the boss didn't fire her. This matter was too big, and the impact was too bad. So the company abandoned the worthless Maydol. Maydol held the termination contract in her hand and suddenly felt like she was struck by lightning. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.